guess you got your leathers on. You're all dusty from the road. I guess you're all dusty from the commode. It doesn't matter if you came from the planet Celsius, the planet backflip, the planet I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna steal your grandma. Oh, I'm gonna bring her home. Guess what? She's gonna wear bloomers on my face like a silly little mask. I'm gonna have my eyes poking out the leg holes. I'm gonna look like the vagina Superman. You're not gonna see me. I'm gonna be flying through the air, dropping everything I got out into your Meemaws. Yes, Meemaw pleaser. That's what they call me, the natured boy. And we're live in Helltown. I'm not a Helltown girl, but somebody is. You better call your Meemaw, because you got a new goddamn Gramps. I'm going to moonwalk on your grave. I'm taking your inheritance. We're back. Introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Lita. Just kidding. I'm not Lita. Man, my name is Chris, and I come on this show once a week so I can gratify some of my narcissistic tendencies, hang out with some friends, catch a buzz. And today we're gonna listen to a hell of a story, so I'm super excited. What's other stuff? Oh man, I had some Madongo soup today at Mama Chave over there in the Big Lot Shopping Center. So that was a highlight of my day today. So, and who the hell are you, bro?
So I introduced myself now.
Yes, now you do.
Okay, I'm Mike Hasty, and I've been here before.
Well, duh,
we had such a good time, and I was so long-winded, I guess, that they told me to come back and finish my story. So,
Mike,
that's what I'm here for.
I think long-winded is not the term I would use. I think it was just straight epic, man. Like I talk about that show. I use that show as an example of a show that people should watch. I'm like, yo, if you guys want to catch a story, and I mean a really good story.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was going to stop
Get your
by.
Mike Hasty on.
Well, it's a long story.
It's fantastic.
Nothing wrong with having more of a story than somebody else.
It's a very classic. It's a classic Americana story.
It kind of is in a way, because I was right in the middle of all the Vietnam stuff that was happening.
Man.
And and that was such a challenge to our generation.
Sure.
To go against the government. Having. I was.
Yeah, that was back when it meant something to go against the government. Now, everybody just jumps on Facebook and like, fuck this person, fuck that person, I don't like that person.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, now back then, Mike went out there, he was getting tear gassed, he was getting bit by dogs.
Getting kicked out of the military for having long hair.
No, that was honorable, all right?
Long hair.
Yeah,
dude.
In case y'all missed it, Mike Hasty here.
Give him the cliff notes.
Yes, he's a very accomplished young man. That has, we had him on a show about 3 or 4 weeks ago?
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago. And, we brought him on because Mike's an interesting dude, man. He plays music very well. He's very eloquent in his speech. He dresses nice. He's got good table manners. And we brought him on here, and we didn't realize that we were going to get taken onto a whirlwind adventure through the decades in America.
The only thing your story has been missing is a Gen A. And you're on par with Forrest Gump. I don't want you to have an AIDS baby, but
So what is it missing then?
Have you ever seen Forrest Gump?
The problem is
no. Well, it's funny because I have had all these celebrities making cameo appearances, right?
Yeah. So in Forrest Gump, he's in all these situations that are cultural footnotes in history.
Right.
But he has this looping love story with this girl named Jenny that
the Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny. And then he's stuck with she dies and he gets a baby and a bunch of IBM or Apple money. So I guess he still wins.
Well, actually, there is kind of. Kind of.
I was just more referring to Jenny. Jenny come to me when I saw Forrest Gump, I was like, yo, she gave Forrest Gump AIDS. What the fuck?
Right.
Because she dies of AIDS. So I'm like, they don't even talk about it.
Well, it's funny. There's actually there are theories that it wasn't actually AIDS or whatever, but
that was AIDS.
Well, whatever. Well, yes, it was AIDS. They never said it outright, but they implied it with the needles and the cocaine and the dudes with big mustaches.
Yeah.
And I was like, did you ever have a big mustache?
No, I was not. I only had a bearded mustache.
Okay, only a bearded mustache. It was never just
I never had a mustache
solo
by
mustache.
itself. No. That I recall, anyway. I mean, possibly, I mean, I've forgotten a lot. You know?
Isn't November like Movember or some
Yes.
shit? You're not supposed to shave.
Yes, Movember.
Oh, is that right?
Dude, you know what? I got a funny story about
Movember. So
What's that?
don't mow your face.
Yeah, I guess you're supposed to grow out your mustache. I don't know if it's a
okay.
charity thing.
Wow,
Yeah, you grow out a mustache and you donate money to cancer.
Oh, no, I didn't-
it's prostate cancer for men.
I didn't know about that. No.
Yeah, it's like a specific for men thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't shave your mustache and donate to state.
So funny. I have a funny ass story about Movember. So this must have been like 12 or 13 years ago. I was helping my friend open a pizzeria. I was doing consulting for him, and I was working downtown, and it was in what's it called, Mount Pleasant. And so we were there, and it was our last night. It was November 1st. It was the last day that I was working with them, and afterwards the staff and I were like, all right, you know what? You know, we had to work together. Let's go out. We never hung out after work, or we never hung out after there. So I was like, all right, well, let's go. You know, let's go out and do something fun. Now, it was the first day of November, and I had at that point in time, I used to wear my facial hair a lot longer. So I shaved I shaved it down to just the handlebars. I had the Fu Manchu on.
Okay.
And so, and then chops as well. And I have a picture of it I can show you. And so we go to Cafe Japone, which was in DuPont Circle, and it was a karaoke bar.
Okay.
And we go in, and there's a group of people that are in there. There's like 3 different groups of people, and it's us, like the restaurant people, and then there's like 2 other groups, and one of the groups is really rowdy. It's a bunch of frat boys and young little white girls and little crop tops, and they're being all like whatever, and they got one black dude in the group with them, and so. I signed up for we all signed up for karaoke. The girls and boys that I'm working with, they're like, oh, we can. They knew me from work. They didn't know me really from having fun. Right. So I was like, all right, well, I'll sing a song. Oh, yeah. And they're like, oh, that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah. So you can do. I mean, you do that. I've seen you do karaoke.
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at karaoke.
You carry it. I mean, if it's something really guttural.
We should duet some Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty.
All right, I'm into it.
Okay, you guys do it.
Well, so anyway, I go on stage, and I grab the microphone, and I'm about to start. They're playing the background music, and then the black dude in the group jumps on stage, and he yanks the microphone. Because they're all wasted, and he's like, no, he takes the microphone away. He's like, oh, nobody wants to hear this dude. They want to hear the girls. And he was total douchebag. He was total frat boy douchebag too, regardless of his melanin count. Right. And so I was like, and so me being who I am, and this dude looking like the way he looked, I grabbed the microphone and was like, sorry, everybody, I didn't realize Chris Brown's older brother was going to be here. And this is right after the Chris Brown, Chris Brown thing had happened. And I was like, I didn't realize Chris Brown's older brother was going to be here to rudely interrupt me, but we're going to go back to the song now. And this dude's he pushes me, and he's like, he's like, what'd you say? Yeah, you call me in, and then the girl's like, that's racist. That's racist. And I'm like, dude, I'm not racist at all. And so it turns into a brawl, an all-out brawl. The 3 guys that I'm with. Wow. And it was 3 guys I'm with, they jump on stage, and we all start brawling. It looked like one of those stunt shows from those old Western stunt shows. Somebody got thrown through a roll of chairs, and the chairs were do, 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 do. And there was dust everywhere, and things breaking, and bottles getting smashed. Wow. So anyways, That's
classic.
The police show up. Yeah, police show up, and the police show up, and we're outside talking. We're giving depositions. Now, I hadn't had a beer yet because this all happens in the first 5 minutes of being in the building. So I'm butt ass over. These people are shit faced drunk, and the police show up, and it's Metropolitan Police back in the mid or late 2000s. Which means they're mostly black people. But it was 3 black dudes. They show up, 3 black officers. Right. So they show up, and they're like, all right, man. They're like, so what happened? And so they asked the drunk people what happened. The drunk people were like, he got on stage and started making racial epithets and threatening us. And I'm like, that is 180 degrees not what happened, y'all. And the officer looks at me, he goes, well, what did you have? He was like, so what happened? What's your side story? I was like, well, we came here with my friends, and only 2 of them stuck around because the rest of them were like, fuck cops, I'm out of here. And so the cops they asked me, so what happened? I was like, this guy came on stage. I was about to sing a song. I told him, I said, and I quote, I didn't realize Chris Brown's older brother was going to be here to rudely interrupt me. And so the 3 dudes look at each other, and they look at the dude. They look at me, and they go, yeah, he kind of looks like Chris Brown for real though. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, exactly. I was like, exactly. And I was like, yo, and I was like, and I said, listen, if that, I was like, let me ask you guys. I was like, do you think it's racist? What if I was like, I couldn't say Jackie Chan's older brother was here. That wasn't gonna make sense. I couldn't say Woody Harrelson's older brother was here. That wasn't make sense. I had to say Chris Brown. He was like, and the guys were like, dude, you're absolutely right. They're like, but check this out. You're the owner of the bar. He's gonna press charges unless you pay him $100. And I'm in my head, I'm like, what the so by the way, I'm sorry, I skipped a major part of this in the whole Movember part. So while I'm telling the story, the girls and the girls that are in this group of people are like, he's racist. Just look at his mustache. That was literally, and they kept on harping on my mustache. They were like, yeah, he's got that racist mustache, and he's from Virginia, so he's got racist mustacheism. And I'm like, and I'm just sitting there like, and if you know me, I'm racist, mostly against white people. But like, and so I'm like, yeah, right, dude. So unfortunately, this is back before cannabis was legal, and I had quite a fair amount of it on my person. And I was like, you know what? Here's $100. A bitty, that's all, folks. And I got the fuck out of there, man. But it was like, Movember. It was a Movember to remember, and like, it was just wild. Like I was like, of all things that I could be, of me to be considered racist, I think is hilarious, number one. Number two, the use of my mustache as the furtherment of that argument.
I mean, I could understand if you had a Hitler mustache, but like just a regular ass like mustache.
Even now, I'm not sure if the Hitler mustache, like, because I think
they talk about porn stashes.
The only person I've seen wear a Hitler mustache and not be a racist was Michael Jordan, because there was a photo shoot for Nike and he had a Hitler stash. Right? Yeah,
I know. That.
Man, you know, Mike did that on purpose. No, I'm just kidding. Michael Jordan's questionably all right guy. So that was my Movember to remember story. But to get back to the bigger story at hand here, the Mike Hasty saga. So we left off in 1970.
Because we were talking about long hair or something. Yeah, because we were the hair revolution. Yeah, right.
Long hair, don't care.
Yeah. I think, look at that.
It's the Charlie Chaplin.
Oh yeah, more like Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, but so. Where we left off, I think we were in
1975.
In the 70s. Yeah. Okay. So so I was at this community college, right? And this was just after I had been working at a mental hospital that I'd started working at rather than going into it after I did 6 months straight of acid, right? So that's
oh man.
Yeah, and in the hospital for the and we talked about this last time too, was for the first celebrity cameo in the story was Skip Spence, who was lead guitar player for Moby Grape and the first drummer for Jefferson Airplane, and he did too much acid, and but he never came back, and he
Sid Barrett and like there's
he the last time I saw Skip Spence, he was wandering the streets of Campbell, California, just kind of in a daze, and he died a few years ago, maybe 5-10 years ago, something like that. I heard they did a nice feature on him, but he never came back. He's one of, and there were plenty of casualties of acid casualties.
LSD is a wild drug. I had my roommate freshman year of college in the dorms. We all experimented with some acid this one day, and the next day we all came back, and homeboy did not. And like I'm not. We'll talk about that after the show because it is a wild ass story that involves like this dude voluntarily living homeless for many months. Yes. Wow. Also, he would do this.
I guess how much acid did he do?
Dude, we did it was not that much, man, but it was enough. We thought so. Basically, what happened is we dropped a few hits of acid. We got in the car. We drove to Northern Virginia with our friend. She drove. She wasn't tripping. He started acting wild and out in the car, getting crazy. Oh. And we were like, okay, well, we're just gonna drop you off, man. At your parents' house, and good luck. And we dropped him off. And the next day, my older sister comes running in the room. She's like, hey, who the fuck is bleep bleep bleep? I'm gonna leave the name out. And I'm like, why? And she's like, well, he's on the phone right now screaming something about what the blood clot, and he needs to talk to you. And I was like, he didn't come back. So, anyways, yes, acid is a weird ass drug, and that's the last time that I did it one time recently, not recently, a few years ago, but that was because it was the R2D2 special edition from the dude who made it.
I did it a couple of years ago, actually, for the first time in 30 years. I hadn't done it in 30 years. So.
Right, so you did acid for 6 months.
Yeah.
And this was
because I was living with my friends from the Air Force, and we had a house together in California, and they were dealing a lot of acid. So there was a lot of acid around, and I wasn't really doing anything else.
Free acid is the best acid.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. There was.
So like every day you took it, or like?
Just about every day. Yeah. I was.
Was there a ritual with that, or is it you just wake up, drop,
go? No, it was just something. It was just a daily kind of a thing. Like just to stay in in an R-Crumb world.
So it was like, did it eventually just become normal? And
no. I really kind of flipped out a little bit and realized I needed help, and so. My parents had just moved to California, actually 6 months before that, so I moved back in with my parents, and that's when I got the job at the mental hospital, and then gradually came back. I mean, still did a lot of drugs, I mean, we were all doing drugs. I mean, at that time, it was the 70s,
and it's pre like Reagan getting in there in the drug act and.
Well, no, it was pre Reagan. Reagan became president while I was there, but he had already been governor of California, and that's why they had these what they called were locked facilities for. They opened up all the mental hospitals, and they closed to the mental hospitals.
Yeah,
and they let everybody loose except for the really bad cases, and that's who was in these locked facilities, and that's what I was working at. A place called Rancho Verde Manor in San Jose.
No shit.
Yeah.
And what did you do there?
I was an orderly, and so just kind of like took care of people and. Yeah, what were our specific jobs? Essentially, just like taking vitals and things like that, like orderlies do, and making sure everybody's. I mean, there were times you just had to deal with, violent patients and stuff, So, and I spent a lot of time sitting in with the psychologist while he interviewed, because they had to have somebody in there with a psychologist, and so that was interesting. I learned a lot, about psychology there.
And that's where you met Skip, and then anybody else? Did you come across any other interesting folks, or
at the at the mental hospital?
Yeah.
No, not famous. Not celebrities. No celebrities. No, it was
I'm sure they were celebrities unto their own.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were.
I am the king of the lizard people.
Yeah.
Dude. So after that, you're working there, and
then then I went. I decided to go back to school. Because I really was kind of aimless, after I got out of the service, and that's why I was doing all that hitchhiking back and forth across the country and everything, and so I decided to go back to school, and then at school I met this young woman named Lynn Eldridge, and she's an actress, and we headed off, and I went. I had been to I went to this kind of like the radical therapists. It was a couple that did radical therapy, and they said, well, what did you do? What were you good at? And I said, well, I was good at acting. I was good in theater because I did some acting when I was in high school, and so I decided to do that, and so I was doing theater and other stuff. I mean, I'm a curious person. I have a curious mind. About things, and so going to school seemed like the right thing to do. I was 25 at the time. At that point, when I went back to community college, and that's when I met Lynn, and she was beautiful and talented. And
Lynn could be the Jenny.
Here we go. Right.
Lynn could be the Jenny.
This is her, because it was Lynn that I moved to San Francisco with. Right. So we she finished her 2 years at West Valley College, and then was going to San Francisco State, and so we moved to San Francisco then, and we had a little place. The first place we lived in was an apartment. It was what they called a railroad flat, right? And I could put my arms across the living room. You know, I could touch the both walls of the living room, and that was right across Panhandle Park from Haight-Ashbury. Mm-hmm. And then we got a house on 19th Avenue in the Sunset District, and and anyway, so Lynn graduated. Well, so I stayed in theater. We did theater together, and then she graduated, which I never did. I was just going there for the GI Bill because I got an honorable discharge where I could get the GI Bill. So
yeah, boy, work that
yeah,
long hair, don't motherfucking
well,
care.
I didn't believe,
Rage Against the
anything,
Machine.
You know, the institutions. You know, I didn't
got the win, fucking win.
You know, I
you stuck it to the man,
it was
dude.
just the revolution, right?
And paid for my school, bitch.
Yeah, right. yeah, it's good. Oh yeah, I'm still living good off that. I'm in the VA, man. I love the VA.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Fuck
Yeah, they take good care of me.
Pay for my school. Pay for my. I need a toe surgery now.
Yeah. They take better care of me than I would myself.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like they monitor. Oh,
Well,
it's
no-
time for your test. Like
That's good.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's cool,
fuck yeah. Anytime you get one up on the government, it's a fucking.
I mean, I'm going to take the blessings that the government has to offer, and to be honest, I mean, the government, does offer many blessings. I mean, in terms of who I would caucus with if I were actually associated with a political party, it would be the Democrats.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm an independent. But because of that social justice, component, which was used to be an important part of the Catholic Church, social justice.
Yeah, like the one thing that I've noticed, maybe it's ever since like that Jimmy Swaggart televangelist thing became more popular, maybe in like the mid '80s, and then it became that's the names people know of preachers. And I remember before that, I guess it would have been Billy Graham, but that was more like he would go around and have revivals, and that's how he got popular. And then I guess presidents liked him or whatever. Versus people that are just like, give me money because God hook me up.
Said you should.
Yeah. I need a new jet. But
the prosperity gospel.
Yeah.
Well, that's different than the Jesuits. That's who taught me, the Jesuits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are still good churches, and there's good Catholic churches, like missions and stuff where they're feeding people.
Absolutely.
I don't understand why that's not the main part of the Christian religion, because that's sort of what it says in there. Help people and shit like that. So
because we have such a distorted culture.
I had limited experience with organized religion. And I was definitely in one of those youth groups where they would give food to people and stuff, and that was cool shit, because people they would ask why are you doing this, because we're supposed to, or because God loves you or whatever they would say to each other or say to the people they were giving food to. I think that should be the main part of a religion, that they should be called to do. Instead of I need a new Learjet because I can't travel with demons.
Right.
But I don't know if maybe that's an American wrinkle on religion, that we monetize everything. So,
well, yeah, I mean the prosperity gospel. I'm sure that's an American creation.
Yeah, I don't think if you go over to Germany, they got Kenneth Copeland's running around.
It's okay. So it's a blessed, right? You're blessed. That's.
I know the most
you're
wild.
Blessed, you're saved, and then you're blessed, right? And then so you get money.
I remember they had some dude named Creflo Dollar, and I
Yeah,
always
dude.
was like,
Oh my God,
this is the most ridiculous. We're in the Matrix. This is a glitch. It has to be
Man,
Creflo Dollar.
I heard, when I heard Creflo, when I heard his name first, and who knows, man? I don't know Creflo.
I've never heard of that.
You've never heard of Creflo
I've
Dollar?
never
He's
heard
a
of
TV,
Creflo
he's a
Dollar,
black evangelist. Yeah, he's a black
really?
TV
Huh.
evangelist. It's
Yeah.
him, TD Franks, and Kirk Franklin. Are
And the one that was at Diddy parties. TD Jakes.
TD Jakes, yeah.
Yeah.
TD Jakes. Was
So-
that all the
Oh,
Disney
yeah.
parties?
Oh,
Was that
yeah.
right?
TD Jakes. TD Jakes brought the sacrifice. He brought the sacrificial lube.
Yeah.
The sacramental. I'm sorry.
The
I guess
the
it's all.
sacramental lube.
It depends
Yeah.
on what end of it depends
He's
on
like,
what
I don't
what
wanna
end
get-
you're on.
The Lord says I cannot get torn apart.
Creflo Dollar. So that's one thing John Hudson and I always laugh about, because we'll talk about how some of these
Blatant.
how blatant, yeah, right. There's some. Listen, I'll give it up. There's some of these guys that are kind of okay, man, I could dig it. You're not in my face saying I'm taking all your money and using it for my own personal gain. But then you got a couple of them that you're Like,
Kenneth Copeland is the worst.
No, Joel Osteen is the absolute worst.
Yeah.
Dude.
He owns a basketball stadium.
Absolute worst.
Yeah.
I don't care. I would say that to Joel Osteen's
How many
face.
limousines does he have?
You know what's crazy? That Joel Osteen is like all those Houston rappers are all part of his like
church.
Yeah, church, and so like Slim Thug has a song. Slim Thug.
Joel Osteen.
Yeah, he has Joel Osteen is featuring. It's Slim Thug featuring Joel Osteen, and it's a banger of a song, which sucks. And it's like if you were to take away the person behind the message is a great message, but it's like unfortunately I'm like,
well, it's like anything, man. Like they're.
It's like when I'm gonna leave names out of this again, but when you have somebody that's very predatory on drunk young ladies as a sober person, but then claims to be a feminist. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the same fucking thing, and I'm gonna leave names out of this motherfucker. But anyways, but yeah, dude, that's it's kind of crazy, man. Creflo Dollar, and so I always wonder, like, is that and people are like, no, that's his birth name for real, and I'm like. You realize that like names come
he
from
was
somewhere.
Destined to be a televangelist.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the universe made it happen.
My old roommate's Latin name is Parato, and he comes from a long line of good fella Italians. And like one day I was like, dude, it's just funny how inherent, like he's different from the rest of his folks, but like how inherent some of those like his mindset is on that. And my buddy Brad's just like, Chris, his last name is Parato, meaning. At some point in time, his family was named after their profession as pirates, and he comes from a long line of pirates. So Creflo Dollar, yeah, I mean, that name Creflo in general is kind of just. I feel like it's an acronym.
I want to find out my family's like African name because the name that we have came from the slave master. So I definitely don't know. Like I only know back to the last enslaved member of my family. And that's the name that he had.
Sure.
So like I don't know.
How would you even trace that?
Well, I mean, there's papers because he was owned. So whenever they would like put in for like census stuff, they had to put in their slaves. So
where he came from?
Yeah. Well, they don't have that because he was born into slavery,
right?
And they don't have anything other than his mother's first and last name. So like that's I'm sure if I did 23andMe,
it should be the same name. Then.
Yeah.
If you did 23andMe, I hope that
I
hope you ain't commit no crimes back in the day.
Yeah. Hey, find your family back in Africa, right?
Oh yeah, there probably could be like there definitely is a possibility. I could find people at least that I was related to that might have farther back. Yeah. On the white side of the family, I'm sure you could go back like probably to like at least like the 1500s. Like I don't know any of it, but
I've never looked into it. That's because and I've never really looked into my family tree, and I really should because I'd be interested to see some shit. But like, I'm just like, 23andMe. I just feel and all that stuff. I feel like you're just like I guess I'm already like I've gotten in trouble with the law enough that they have enough of my DNA that doesn't matter anymore. But so I guess I should just do it. But I just feel like they were doing that 23andMe as like a way of just like it was like quick police work. Like
getting kind of. Well, they use those. Don't
of course.
They
they use it. Yeah, they absolutely.
Yeah,
Do you know how many? Like I watch an amount of murder mystery TV that I'm kind of ashamed to admit how much I watch.
Right,
However, I do feel that I've almost got an associate's degree in criminology as a result.
Right.
Just kidding. But that's a joke. And
I understand.
But how many episodes of it happen? There's like a cold case from like the 60s or whatever, and they have the DNA still, but the person is not in CODIS, which is the main database that they get from convicted felons. And then they cross reference it to 23andMe, and they do like the bilateral sequencing, or I forget the exact term, but because if I knew it, I probably would do for a living, because it's way more lucrative than anything else I've done. But I think that it's like wild, like how many crimes have been solved as a result of it. So I mean, I guess first of all, nobody should be out committing crimes where you're leaving DNA behind. I mean, I'm all for corporate espionage. I'm all for sticking it to the man. I'm all for long hair protests. But I guess anytime you do a crime where you're leaving DNA behind, you shouldn't do that. So I guess everybody should go get their 23andMe on. I don't know.
I've heard.
I switched. I changed my mind after talking through it with you, Mike.
Well, I heard that they do have somebody there's some database, and some big BlackRock or somebody else bought one of the big companies.
Right.
But my daughter already did her shit, so
you're fucked.
Yeah, they already got some of my shit.
Yeah,
so
my
now I don't
sister
care.
did.
I wonder if my daughter ever did, man. I should call
Ask
her.
her.
We should call. I'm gonna give her a call later on in the show.
We text Lita and see if she wants to call. Nah, she's probably watching some movie.
Yeah, she's
out this week because she's
Now I have an uncle has done the whole genealogy thing. Back to England and everything, back to Scotland actually.
I think we jumped off subject. So we were with Lynn. We were on the way to San Francisco.
Yeah. Lynn and I were living in San Francisco. And Lynn was an excellent singer and beautiful, and she looked like a pretty Angela Lansbury. In fact,
like what Angela Lansbury though? Are we talking about like Murder She Wrote? Or
that's another celebrity appearance, cameo in my life.
Dude,
yes. This came later though.
Did you bang Angela Lansbury?
Lynn, right? No. What happened? So this is. Remember, I was talking about Beach Blanket Babylon.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So after Lynn graduated from San Francisco State in the theater department, then she went to work for Beach Blanket Babylon, which is this long running San Francisco show. Well, it already had run for a few years at that point. It started out as Beach Blanket Babylon, and it's just kind of a crazy show, just kind of all kinds of costumes, weird costumes, and different popular characters making their appearances, doing. And using popular music, using top 40 kind of music or popular, and so they had a full band playing there, and it was the third iteration of Beach Blanket Babylon when Lynn got into the show. There was Beach Blanket Babylon, and there was Beach Blanket Babylon Goes Bananas, and then there was Beach Blanket Babylon Goes to the Stars, and that was the one that Lynn was in.
All right, so I got so many questions.
Yeah, right, dude. This
was in San Francisco, right?
What
North
shit
Beach,
is
San
Beach
Francisco.
Blanket Babylon?
Dude, it was a show.
This is
like what was it about? Like was it like
it was like American?
Well,
like
okay.
American
So the
Bandstand
Beach
type
Blanket
thing?
Babylon Goes to the Stars. Well, the major characters were Snow White and Mr. Peanut, and Mr.
shit.
Peanut was actually John Travolta in
Mr. Peanut
in his alter ego, yeah.
Oh.
And the other characters in the show included Glinda the Good Witch. Let's see, Lynn danced as she was a lucky star. She appeared as a star, and she was.
Was this a
dancing
kids
table
show?
And chairs. No. This was like an adult show. It was like in fact, it was the opening for the Oscars. I don't know if this is like. This would have been like in the early '90s, maybe that they used Beach Blanket Babylon as the opening for the Oscars, and everybody said it was the strangest thing they had ever seen. Right? So the show's about essentially about Snow White falling in love with Mr. Peanut, who's really John Travolta.
Mr. Peanut, like Mr. Peanut from
Mr. Peanut,
Planters
from
Peanuts?
Planters Peanuts. Yeah.
Okay.
Like the guy with the top hat, and it was a very popular show. It ran for like 3 decades, and now the street that it was on, it played at the what was it, the Club Fugazi, I think was the name of the club that they were in, and it was a huge place, it was but now that street is called Beach Blanket Babylon Avenue in San Francisco.
No shit.
Yeah. They named the show closed down a few years ago.
So you you would just hang out? Would you just hang out backstage?
I would hang out with the musicians. Actually, I would hang out with the musicians and with the actors and everything. And well, speaking of AIDS, so this was like the mid '80s, right?
Speaking of AIDS, John Travolta.
The first person I ever knew that died of AIDS was Mr. Peanut, the guy that played Mr. Peanut.
John Travolta?
Yeah, and John Travolta. Yeah.
Oh wait. So John Travolta was also Mr. Peanut.
He was in the show. This is San Francisco.
So
right? This is San Francisco.
So it was
a
a stage play, right?
It was a stage play, right?
So John Travolta,
musical, right?
So John Travolta played the Peanut after,
the guy that played Mr. Peanut also played John Travolta. Right?
So it wasn't actually John Travolta.
Huh?
It wasn't actually.
No, it wasn't John Travolta.
Fuck.
It was not in it. No.
God damn it! I was hoping that you'd be like, "Oh my God, Mr. Carter! Oh my God!"
No. It was, John Travolta was not in it. No, but it was produced by a guy named Steve Silver, and he had the support of a guy named Cyril Magnon, who for some reason was called the Pope of San Francisco.
That was gonna say that name is very familiar.
Cyril Magnan, yeah, Magnan, Magnan department stores. It was his family that did it. But anyway, so Mr. Peanut, this guy, what was Bill's last name? I can't remember Bill's last name, but he came down with this weird disease and died. And everybody's like was totally shocked. What the fuck?
Hey, Mike, can I cut you off real quick because I know like this story is awesome, but your mic seems to have gone. Your mic's got is a little bit sparse right now.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't
it's
think
not you. It's not you.
good.
It's not
Are
you.
you sure it's supposed to be facing down like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think. Did you maybe? Let's check the wiring. Is all the connection or all the connectors? You know. I mean, you're the.
Okay. All right. I'm keeping talking.
Keep.
All right.
Keep
I'm
it up like
right on it, right?
It just sounds distorted a little bit. Yeah. I don't know, maybe something's wrong with it. We're experiencing testicle difficulties. Please stay tuned.
Check.
Still a little bit. Yeah, it's still a bit sparse. Like that's the best way I can describe it. Sparse. Yeah, no, the story is fantastic. I mean, the fact that there's a guy that's portraying John Travolta and Mr. Peanut. He has AIDS. He's passed away from AIDS. I mean, that's a sad.
Nobody knew what it was.
Well, yeah,
he was the first guy that in San Francisco that died of AIDS that we knew of, you know. But yeah, that may have been the first one that, but nobody knew what it was.
Yeah.
Immediately, and
all right,
then they identified it as AIDS after that, and then of course people started dropping like flies.
Isn't it weird how like it just like all of a sudden just stopped? Like everything was like Magic Johnson came out, and then all of a sudden the AIDS is kind of like. There's a South Park episode that
developed a really effective drug.
Well, I know that there's a South Park episode that actually like touches on that whole thing. Like Cartman wants to get sympathy, so he gives himself AIDS, and then I think is the mic on? I don't think the mic's on. There you go.
Check.
Way better.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
you got it now.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, dude. It's crazy, but so. Yeah. Mr. Peanut dies of AIDS. You guys are still and
then the AIDS thing hits San Francisco, and that was like it was, I mean it was scary. It was for everybody, and
I think San Francisco and DC were the two big epicenters of it, and there's a lot of conspiracy theory that you could put into that, but
well, they called it the gay disease, right? Because it was there's so many gay people in San Francisco. And
sure.
Of course, the guy that played Mr. Peanut was gay, so.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the truth on that ever if the truth on AIDS ever comes out, because the story that they gave, the story of the origin of AIDS is like so like
almost like COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were eating bat wings.
Yeah,
like they were banging monkeys in the.
That's the one I heard when I was a kid at the playground. I'd be like, "Yo, it's a monkey disease. Somebody fucked a monkey."
Yeah, that's a story. Well, that's a story that like I think
AIDS,
that was like the story I believe that it was like. Wow. Well, that was the story that I was also told on the Seesaw, and it obviously holds a lot of truth because the kid was in 6th grade and I was in 4th grade at the time. So the 6th graders know a lot better than the 4th graders, man. They say they say some shit, it's gospel. All right, so what happened after? So what happened after Beach Blanket, Babylon, and so are you still in San Francisco?
Yeah. Well, we stayed in San Francisco after that. She, I started getting involved in theaters, but I was doing like building stages, and then she started singing in cabarets around town. And so I was like doing lights for her at these different gay cabarets mostly, and then she a couple of the guys that she was working with, they decided to put a show together called "Coward in a Cardboard Cup," and it was a bunch of Noel Coward songs, and that turned out to be a pretty popular show, and then so I built a stage for that show and a whole tables and everything for the nightclub. But this was at Bimbo's 365 Club in North Beach in San Francisco. And at the same time, Robin Williams was playing upstairs, and he used to come down and hang out with us. And it was funny because he was a lot different when he was hanging out. Because he was really kind of shy and quiet, so, but when he was on stage, I used to see him so this was a story I was going to tell you about because you're a comic and everything. was the first time I met Robin Williams.
Yeah, dude.
Was at this place called Holy City Zoo. Well, it was like a comedy renaissance was going on in San Francisco at the time, right? There was a lot of stuff going on, so these comics would come in this place called Holy City Zoo. So my friends and I, we used to go to Holy City Zoo all the time. So I walked into Holy City Zoo one time, and this guy stopped me, and he says, "Oh, there's no sense going in now. The funniest guy just left off stage, you know."
And that's rough.
And then he walked out, right? And I says, "Holy shit, I know that guy. That guy, he just seems so familiar to me." Well, it turned out it was Robin Williams. I had never seen him before, but then I used to see him all the time after that, and he at Holy City Zoo, he was great because he'd have people like throw him things from the audience, just items, and then he would just go on a whole riff on an item. I mean, I'm sure he was heavily coked up at the time. I never did coke with him or anything like that. But
damn it.
What time?
No.
Both of those things were important
yes.
things that people would.
Right.
He did not participate in the cocaine. Repeat, did not participate in the cocaine. Back to the story.
Not with Robin Williams. Huh?
Hey, that's later.
I never really liked coke that much anyway, unless I had some weed to go with
Chuck
kind of mellow it out.
That's later on with the Chuck Woolery story.
Anyway, so that's and then we lived with a couple of friends of Lynn's from high school actually, who were also comics, and there was a lot of comedy going on at the time, and one of them, Cindy McKay, who later went on to win an Emmy for writing. She was dating Dana Carvey at the time, and I used to give Dana Carvey rides home after our little parties at the apartment there, with Cindy in the back. I was the chauffeur, right, riding Dana and Cindy up to. He was living with his mother up on Mount Sutro, I think.
Dude, that's nuts.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Yeah. So it was great, because we had a lot of comics hanging around, and actually. Both of them, both Joni and Cindy went on. Joni stayed in comedy. She made her whole career, retired as a comic.
Dude,
so,
that is amazing, dude.
Yeah.
So Dana Carvey, man, wow, like.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he used to hang out at the house. Mike Davis was a comic named Mike Davis. Yeah. He used to hang out at the apartment, our apartment in Sunset. We had a lot of fun, man. Yeah. A lot of weed smoked on that coffee table that I still have.
Yes, dude.
A storied coffee table.
Yes, dude.
That I built. The first piece of furniture I built.
No shit,
Fuck
dude.
yeah. You're like, who else rolled up a blunt right there? Dana Carvey.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, he was another one that was kind of quiet. He and Cindy would just kind of like hang out. But I never really talked to him that much.
So I'm new to this. I'm new to like trying comedy. Like I'm not gonna say I'm a comic because like, what I'm saying, like I'm still cutting my chops and doing my thing. But like, that's one thing I will tell you is that a lot of the people that I meet, like I meet a lot of the, you meet a lot of comics and you run into them because it's a very small community, especially out here. And a lot of them, off stage, very, very calm, very to themselves. Like, and especially like after the show, I'll be like, "Yo, let's go grab a beer. Let's go to the titty bar." Like, blah blah blah. And everybody's like, "Oh, dude, like, dude, I'm gonna go home and play video games or masturbate and cry or whatever it is that they go home and do." But I will tell you this, man. The one person that is never off, and he's by satellite been a member. He's a member of the alumni of the show, John Yeager.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, actually, John Yeager, you would love this guy's comedy. It's fan. I think everybody would love his comedy, but he does this thing where he does a method acting, and he's in a troupe that they perform at the Improv in DC, and he plays Trump. And he actually gained weight and made his posture bad on purpose.
Good God Almighty!
And he did it on purpose, and he is so fucking good at it that you can't tell if it's parody or not. Wow. That's how fucking good he is at it.
No kidding.
But John is like, I love John. I'm doing tomorrow night at El Rey. I'll be performing underneath him. And thank you very much for the opportunity. Yes, I will. The Golf Fest 2000. But well, that's before and after
even
the show.
Afterwards, or?
Yeah, it depends.
Not during.
Nah, but John, he reminds me a lot of Robin Williams, and that he is like,
frantic energy.
it's like And like, dude, and the fucked up part is the guy doesn't even do coke. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I've hung out with him long enough, and I know people.
Battery just charged up.
Dude, that dude, he is never not on. You'll be sitting there having a conversation with him. You'll be 4 sentences deep into it, and then he just like will be like, "Yeah, I'm just fucking with you," and you're like, "God damn it, man! Like, I thought we were having no, he's
commitment to a bit."
So anyway, but yeah, he's a guy. You guys should check him out, especially like you. I think you'd really enjoy his political stuff. But yeah, he's somebody that I think if they ever do a biopic of Robin Williams, he would be the best person for it. Absolutely, hands down. He looks like him a little bit too. Yeah. Anyways, that's me just brown nosing a little bit. John, thanks for the time tomorrow night. I appreciate you, bro.
All right.
So San Francisco. All right. So you
anyway. So then we were doing comedy. So then finally, this is the early '80s. Lynn decided she was going to try her hand in New York.
Oh.
And I didn't want to leave San Francisco. Well, we were having issues anyway, but anyway, so she went back to New York. She went to New York. She grew up in California, but she went to Manhattan, and I hung out for a while longer. I was in a couple of plays, I guess, and then I finally. And I didn't want to leave because it was just too beautiful. It was too beautiful to live in San Francisco.
So why'd you leave?
Because Lynn went to New York, and I
went with
that. I follow women. That's part of my story.
Man, Mike, I will say this about that, bro. I'm I sometimes I'm in awe. It's not that the fact that you follow women; it's the amount of women that follow you, my bro. That is you got the Riz, as the kids say. Man, that shit is wild. If you guys don't know, this dude is got.
Is he the Rizzler?
He could be the Rizzler. I mean, he's got his pimp mode must be his femur, man. I don't know. And he's a tall motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy. Here's I grew up with 7 sisters, right?
Oh, you got an advantage.
Yeah.
So,
he's got the game book. He got the playbook.
Yeah. So I like having women. I like women, and so women like me. I mean, like that's. I have a lot of women friends.
You're a cool dude, man. Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't have you on the show if you weren't, dude.
Oh well, thank you.
So you end up in New York. What part of New York did you end up?
Manhattan.
Manhattan. Now this was like studio
right in the Chelsea district.
So are we
7th and
what year is this?
7th Avenue and 21st Street and 7th Avenue. This would be mid 80s, probably early 80s, maybe 83, 82, 83.
Okay, so this is like Studio 54 era, yeah, or no, or has that do?
Yeah, it could be, but that would be out of my range. I mean, I wasn't there long. I was only in.
There's
Manhattan
stuff out of your range.
600. Yeah.
Jesus, man. This story would.
No. I mean, in terms of like
85?
I didn't hang out with that crowd. I mean, like I was, kind of a, we were we took acting classes. Now Lynn, she got into some stuff. In fact, that's how she was. She did some off-Broadway stuff, and ultimately, she played Mrs. Claus in the Radio City Music Hall. The Christmas thing there. Yeah, so she had some success in New York, and then did a lot of traveling. But that was kind of where we broke up. Was actually New York. Huh?
Did you break up with her? Or did she break up with you?
I broke up with her.
Oh man, he flipped the script on Jenna.
You would expect nothing less from the man Mike Hasty.
Well, it was she didn't want to get married.
Oh man.
And I don't get there. It was more complicated than that, and
Yeah.
But it was. But ultimately, I wanted to have a family, and she didn't want to have a family.
Huh.
So I decided, well, I'll move on to something else, and went to Virginia Beach then, because I'd been a fan of Edgar Cayce, the Sleeping Prophet. My grandmother had turned me on to Edgar Cayce, the Sleeping Prophet.
So who is? I'm not familiar with the Sleeping Prophet.
They call him the father of holistic medicine, actually, because he would go into trances. He died in 1945, but he would go into trances, and he would prescribe treatments, naturopathic treatments for people, and the treatments worked, and so he was, actually very popular in the 30s and 40s, and a phenomenon. They call him Edgar Casey, the Sleeping Prophet. You've never heard of Edgar Casey, the Sleeping Prophet? Oh, that's funny. Because he was the stuff was a lot more popular. But anyway, there was an institution, dedicated to his work and preserving. Well, they transcribed all his readings, right? They call it these psychic readings that he did, and he also talked about, cosmic things, and he talked about reincarnation a lot, and he talked about people's past lives and things like that. In fact, he talked about here's another great cameo in my life is one of the people that he did a reading on was this new baby for I believe his secretary's nephew was the kid, and he said it was the reincarnation of Thomas Jefferson. And so they named him Thomas Jefferson.
Holy shit.
And he said the reading said that he could be like a really important person in world history, or he could turn out to be like a beach bum, which is what he turned out to be. But he looked exactly like Thomas Jefferson when I met him. Well, so there's this place called the Association for Research and Enlightenment in Virginia Beach, and that's where I went to hang out. And they have the largest metaphysical library on the East Coast.
Is it still there?
And it's still there. Yeah, sure.
Dude.
At 61st and Atlantic in Virginia Beach.
I'm gonna tell my daughter to go
right
down
on
there.
the beach, huh?
I'm gonna tell my daughter to go down there.
Yeah, tell her to go there. Oh yeah, they can tell her if she's a psychic or not. But anyway,
now I want to go. I want to know if I got some mystical powers.
Yeah.
I got the Riz.
There's all kinds.
I
of
got the Riz powers.
They actually do have a little test that you could test your.
Is that like Dianetics?
Psychic ability?
Nah, that's.
I don't know Dianetics. That's
Scientology.
That's Conan the Barbarian.
What is best in life, Conan?
To hear lamentations.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, hear the lamentations of their women.
Yeah. There's a
Ron Hubbard, right?
L. Ron Hubbard,
Ron Hubbard, right? He was the Conan, right? He wrote Conan.
No. That wasn't
the
guy that wrote Conan was like a guy that lived with his mom, and he ended up killing himself when he was 45 or some shit. But he wrote all this stuff before that.
L. Ron Hubbard wrote what was that?
Well, he was Scientology.
Earth. What's the one with he did with
Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield Earth.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, yeah, he did some science.
Good fucking movie, dude.
Well, that's the true story of their
it's wild. Like,
Emperor Xenu and shit.
Yeah, there's a whole if you ever deep dived on Scientology.
No.
So first of all, I would like to say before I'm not bashing this religion by any means, because all religions make a lot of crazy claims. Scientology is the only one though that's tied to like extraterrestrial existence, and so far that's the only thing that holds scientific water. So I'm sure of course, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and they did that. But L. Ron, some of his books are actually they're entertainingly good books. The problem is that when you cross the lines between entertainment and gospel, and that's what we're in dogma, and so it's Battlefield Earth, man, that was a great movie. It's John Travolta is in that movie actually.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, it's about it's a.
Well, John Travolta was he a Scientologist? No, who's the Scientologist?
Yes,
he's an extreme Scientologist.
Yeah, he lives in that neighborhood where you got planes instead of cars. Like people drive like Boeings. Like they drive, they fly jumbo jets in his neighborhood. Like if you ever look this up, it's fucking crazy. It's a neighborhood, but it's an airport. Yeah, it's wild as fuck. Yeah, he's a pilot. That's like his thing.
Wow.
Yeah, dancing, closet homosexuality, and piloting.
Yeah, he's probably safer, or everybody else is safe. Oh, do you know? I just thought of something.
What's that?
It's a question we should have asked a long time ago.
Ask it.
Was John Travolta at Diddy parties?
Oh my God. What if John Travolta is Diddy? Dun dun dun!
Breaking news.
Breaking news. They've never been seen at the same place at the same time together.
They say their paths just never cross. I call bullshit.
Right. Well, anyways, we'll get to Diddy. We'll have to catch up on Diddy news later. We gotta get back to the story, man. I'm gonna tell you,
on the edge of your seat.
I'm literally on the edge of my seat. This is great. I'm playing a soundtrack in my head as it goes, and also I'm upset with myself because I dropped the ball. I was gonna stop by the movie theater on the way here.
You get popcorn,
and sodas for us. Yeah, so I could sit here and just.
Oh wow, okay. You eat popcorn. All right.
Well, yeah, dude.
The
story is
cinematic.
Mike, I don't know if you ever thought about putting your story into print.
I have. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like this would be, you could sell your story. 100% Hollywood. If you're listening, I'm his agent. You can
They're
contact.
gonna direct it, but they're gonna take liberties with you, Mike.
Yeah. They're gonna. It'd be a progressive.
It wouldn't be the first.
Progressive story. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could have like Mike played by Little Uzi Vert. That's a rap.
That would be awesome.
No,
That would be,
it would be
Little Uzi Vert.
No, it would be extremely historically inaccurate. I would like who would be an actor that would play? Who would play you? This is who I think who would play you as like current you. Although in this story, I just have you as just perennial, this version of you.
Woody Harrelson.
Nah, Woody Harrelson. I don't think he does enough. Like he wouldn't do you justice because he's got that weird like snarky Memphis Mafia thing. I think what's his name? Steve, the banjo player.
Steve Martin.
Yeah,
Steve Martin.
Yeah, Steve Martin. I think
he's
would
older
accurately,
than I am, though. He's too old.
Yeah, he'd play you like in the future.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I guess but also he's got great makeup, dude. I mean,
Matthew McConaughey.
Ooh, yes,
Yeah,
Matthew McConaughey, 100% is you. Like 75.
I love
75
that. Yeah, he's cool. I like Matthew McConaughey.
Who would play him? Let's see. Who would play him?
Well, he's kind of independent-minded.
Justin Bieber would play him. Justin Bieber. Speaking of Diddy parties, how's you don't? Poor Justin Bieber in his Bieber hole.
Well, he has a nice-looking wife, right?
Dude, that guy has got like
whatever he's got now.
Yeah, he deserves it. Yeah, he deserves everything and anything. Everybody that said bad shit about him,
leave him alone.
I never said. For the record, I have never hated on Justin Bieber, even when everybody's like, "Oh, I was like, I really being tough." Like, dude, I don't like that fucking gay music, but blah blah. I always said
it's not for you.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, exactly. But I always said when he got busted. My favorite thing was when he got busted. He was 19, driving the Lamborghini, smoking weed. And people,
19-year-olds too. If I was 19 and had a Lambo, I would definitely be smoking L's in that bitch.
He had like several tens of millions of dollars to his name. He's driving around. He had just come off of being like pretty much pimped.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So everybody that and I said the same thing. I was like, do you know what would happen if I was 19 and I had $20 million? I'd be dead.
Yeah.
Like, so good for him for not dying.
Yeah. When I was 19, I definitely would have had like, dude, piles of powders, and I'd have been like Scarface and had a heart attack.
I was pretty drunk at 19.
Yeah, I see. My thing is like I was more into drinking and doing stunts. Like we would do like my party trick when I was 19 till I was like early 30s, which I haven't done forever but I used to be able to jump like stuntman roll downstairs.
Lord.
And so we'd go to like in Georgetown, we go to like Smith Point, that stupid ass bar. I'd roll down the stairs there and be like, oh, and people would be like, and then I'd jump up and be like, haha, gotcha, and do shit like that. But anyways, we gotta get back to this story, man.
So what year are we at now? About 87?
Early 80s, right? So
Virginia Beach.
Yeah, 83. Oh, yeah, Virginia Beach. I've left Manhattan and I've gone to Virginia Beach. And where, I got involved with, a New Age kind of a community there. They had a church there. And also I was building houses with some people, these Baptists, right? And who even took me into church one time, which was interesting. It was one of those mega, big
charismatic,
Baptist,
gigantic churches.
Yeah, because I was talking about religious stuff anyway. Because I'm hanging out with this New Age community, and of course I'm a New Ager myself, I guess at that point. Then I met this woman who lived in D.C. and so Penelope, and so I moved to D.C. and hung out there for a little bit. Penelope and I hung out a little bit together, but just enough for her to introduce me to some friends of hers, because she worked as a massage therapist in this little studio that was like where this friend of hers did the hair removal kind of thing, and her name is Debbie, and she was married to a guy named Reed, and they became like my best friends, and they were moving to Tacoma Park, and they, at one of my opinion, because I'd been a carpenter, about some houses, well, eventually I moved in with them because they bought a house in Tacoma Park, and there was a bunch of work to do on it, and so I lived downstairs, and and worked on their house, and at the same time I got involved with the anti-nuclear movement. This has been 85, 86.
So nuclear power plants or nuclear weapons?
Nuclear weapons, essentially, because Tacoma Park was a nuclear-free zone. Tacoma Park, they call it the People's Republic of Tacoma Park. Do you know about Tacoma Park?
Yeah, like I've been up there a few times. I had a friend that named Phone Homie that used to live up there, and like,
well, it was it's a progressive, a lot of progressive. In fact, the mayor at the time was a guy named Sammy Abbott. That I moved to Tacoma Park. Well, actually, Sammy had just been defeated as mayor by this guy named Steve Del Judas, who was also another progressive. Sammy Abbott was famous for stopping the freeway from going through Northwest D.C. and through Tacoma Park. He was the leader in that, and he was an old socialist and a proud socialist, and he used to have people come over to his house and play. We used to go over and play music at his house and everything. He was a folky, he was like of the old school, the old
Woody Guthrie.
Woody Guthrie, the labor guy. He was an old labor guy, So anyway, when I moved in with Reed and Debbie, I decided I really wanted to get more active, and they had just passed the nuclear free ordinance in Tacoma Park, and they were forming the Nuclear Free Committee, the Nuclear Free Tacoma Park Committee. And so I volunteered to be on the Nuclear Free Tacoma Park Committee and was appointed to that, and became the secretary of the Nuclear Free Tacoma Park Committee, and so got involved with the anti-nuclear movement there, which I was pretty involved with for the next few years, and because that got me well. At the same time, Reed. While Sammy, as the mayor, was the editor of the Tacoma Park newsletter, which was the official city newsletter, which was put out every week. But so when he got defeated as mayor, they needed a new editor for the Tacoma Park newsletter. So my friend Reed applied, who was already putting out a magazine about art galleries called Galleries Magazine. That was a monthly. Applied to be the editor of the Tacoma Park newsletter, and he became the editor of the newsletter. And so I was living there, and so I was writing a lot of articles at the same time that I was, the secretary of the committee, and the Great Peace March came to town. The Great Peace March ended in Tacoma Park, and do you know about the Great Peace March?
Yes, actually.
It was like there were about 3,000 people that marched all the way across the country from California, and ended up in D.C. And it was an anti-nuclear. It was against nuclear weapons, and so. Their last encampment was Jequié Park in Tacoma Park, and I was their sponsor because I was on the committee.
Yeah.
I sponsored the Great Peace March, and I was also writing front page articles about the Great Peace March for the Tacoma Park newsletter, right? And so I was like kind of very involved in that, and they did a demonstration at the Department of Energy downtown in D.C., and so I went down there to cover the demonstration.
Yeah,
and this guy Jim Driscoll got up and said, they were looking for somebody to organize a demonstration in the following January, at the Department of Energy. And so anyway, I wrote about this, and I guess a couple of weeks later, it was what was the name of the group? The Nuclear Free America. Oh no, it was the I was saying it was Freeze. It was the Nuclear Freeze Committee for a Nuclear Freeze. Asked me to go to the convention in Chicago to be a representative to represent them because they didn't want this other guy to go. Anyway, so I went to Chicago to represent the nuclear freeze. Oh, it was the convention where they were saying the Committee for a Sane Nuclear Policy and the Nuclear Freeze Campaign merged and became Sane Freeze. And while I was there, I ran into the people that had organized actually the Department of Energy demonstration. And it was the American Peace Test. There were people from the American Peace Test, and they were the people that were organizing demonstrations out in Nevada, out the Nevada test site. And so anyway, I started hanging out with them in Chicago, and I said, "Hey, I understand you need somebody to organize a demonstration in January," and I said, "I'll be glad to help with that." And they said, "Well, we have this guy, but he's never organized anything before. So yeah, you want to take it? Yeah, go ahead." So I organized the demonstration in January. Well, it turned out to be a pretty small thing because it was like way below freezing.
Yeah.
And so there was like a few people, and we didn't even try to organize a civil disobedience because it was. But at the same time, they were doing a thing out in Nevada, and so. After our little demonstration at the Department of Energy in D.C. Oh, well, so this is important. And when I was organizing this, I was given names of people in D.C. to organize with, and one of them was a woman named Nancy Paff, actually Nancy McDonald at the time, and she was like very involved in the women's movement. And she was on a committee that did a newsletter called Aegis, and it was a magazine for ending violence against women.
Yeah.
And so she was on this, committee. So she was very involved. And she had also how they got her name was because she had put up a bunch of people from the Great Peace March. At her house, right? So she had this house right on Capitol Hill in D.C. And so, Nancy and I hit it off immediately.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh shit!
So, at the same time, Lynn was doing Nonsense in D.C. and we had kind of got together again, and we were messing around together again. But then I realized that. Well, then I went out to Nevada to work on organizing a demonstration there, and I built the fucking stage for this demonstration at the Nevada test site, where Carl, the astronomer, Carl
Sagan.
So Carl Sagan was going to speak. Martin Sheen was there.
Wow.
And
Martin Sheen,
and also Jorma Kaukonen and Jack, what's his name, Cassidy and Marty Ballin had formed a new group, and they were going to perform
Jefferson
there.
Starship.
So yeah, from
We
the
built
Starship,
this
right?
city.
So I worked all night. I was out there by myself all night building this fucking stage. And in fact, I was still putting a thing across the top of the stage I was building when they were entered, when they started the program up there.
Damn.
And so then I went back. Well, there was nothing to eat. I hadn't had anything to eat, so I went back to the little camper in the back which was like the green room, and hung out with Jorma and Jack Cassidy and Marty Ballin, and then they went up and they played for the people that were getting ready to get arrested at the test site.
Dude,
and
imagine hearing "We built this city on rock and roll," and then you get arrested.
Oh, I got them to play "Got a Revolution." That song, yeah, and they hadn't played it in a long time, and so they wrote the lyrics out on the plywood stage, right? And,
man, that is awesome.
somebody ripped off the that board though, right? Like after
the best part about that is that they probably tell this story too.
Yeah,
yeah, maybe I don't know.
Dude, we met this amazing dude. There was just something about him, and he told us we should play Revolution, and we did.
I hung out with
It's what
Marty
really kept us
Ballin's
together.
dad actually in the camper. Most of the time I was there, and then they announced that I needed some food, and so a bunch of people sent back some bagels and stuff for me to eat because I was
Nice.
starving.
Man.
Anyway, so they hired me, and because they decided to open up a DC office, and so I went back to DC and we organized another demonstration in DC, and we were also involved in the largest demonstration ever at the CIA. So it was kind of like a kind of going full circle for me. The 700 people arrested at the CIA at a demonstration we organized there.
That's wild as hell, man.
Yeah.
That's
cool?
in Langley?
Huh?
At Langley?
Yeah, out in McLean, yeah.
Dude, you know what's funny is
At
like
the headquarters, yeah.
Dude, so when I was in my mid-20s, when I was in my young adulthood, I used to have better than perfect vision. I had 20/10 vision, and so I qualified for all these crazy experiments that SAIC was doing through the CIA to produce the CAVE computer animated virtual environments. Wow. And I had started doing the research at Virginia Tech, and like I was a beta tester for I watched that software developed over it was like from 98 until 2007. I was part of testing for that, and I watched, and I got to be participant because my eyes were so good. But I used to go to the CIA, and it was funny as how I'd go there. I didn't have a driver's license, and that's a whole last story about like how my driver's license got suspended for 8 years. But yeah, it involves Fairfax County Police. Fuck those guys. By the way, I love all law enforcement except for
Fairfax.
the stormtroopers that are Fairfax County Police, and also Arlington County. But specifically John Edwardson. Hope you die. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that on air. But anyways, yeah, we what were we talking about? The motherfucking
your eyes.
Oh yeah. So anyways, yeah, that's wild. So I'd go there and I would smoke like tons of weed before I'd go in, and I'd get in there and like the secretary would be like. She would just look at me. She goes, and every time, and like this, so all the science, so I'd go into Langley, and they take me into this little basement area, and we would work on these computers, like these big fucking animated, like basically I would be driving cars. Yeah, that was the most of those stuff I did was driving cars, and I was really good at it too. I got the best scores out of anybody.
The best scores.
Yeah, because I stayed within the speed limit and the lines the best out of anybody.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, wild. It helped me out later on in life when I got a DUI. But
okay.
But it was super funny because I would like the scientists that worked there. They were just scientists. They're not like spooks, They're there to, and I don't mean that racially. Right. And I was like, they are there because they're that's what they're good at, right? Right. Yeah. And they're good at developing software. So they thought I was like, we got along spectacular. They were like, dude, we think it's hilarious that you'll come in here, just fucking, dude, we're gonna high sitting next to you, and I'd be like, they're like, and you sit here and you're developing all this software for us, and I'm like, dude, I was like, trust me, I'm getting paid to do this too. This would make it even more spectacular. So, anyways, that's my tie to this. So I guess that's all. Now, come to think about it, this was bringing us full circle. You worked at the CIA,
right? That's what I'm talking about. It's full circle,
yeah,
right?
Here we are.
I'm organizing the largest.
This is great. I'm telling you right now, this story is one to be sold as well as told. Okay, but go ahead. Yeah, dude. We're gonna talk about that after the show, man. We're making this into a book, dude.
So I had a few questions through these years. All right, crack. When crack came in, did you notice it? Because I remember when I was a kid, that was the first thing I noticed.
I was living in DC at the time. Yeah. So, but I never did it.
Just it being around and like. In my neighborhood, there was a market difference when crack came.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. Oh, like drive 14th Street on, and the women would be like,
skittering.
Yeah, right. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I was going to ask this earlier. Acid. You said you had done acid,
right?
Like since the 70s and 60s.
Yeah, well, I didn't much after that.
Your experiences after that? Is it the same as it was back then? Because I know that there's just days of yore with acid from like.
I did. Let's see. I did acid probably. Until the mid 70s, or maybe probably. Yeah, I didn't do acid when I was with Lynn. After that, I kind of after my binge, I didn't really do. I did mushrooms a few times after that,
I just didn't know if there was a difference. If now it was considered like, because some people like weed's better now.
Right.
But
right.
like it seemed like acid was one of those drugs that like back in the day it was supposed to be
that's,
better.
But you know what, man? That's like when my dad and I argue, and he's like, "Dude, like the Acapulco Gold is better than anything that's going out there these days, man."
Well,
I'm like, bullshit.
Well, it was funny. It got to me at a point where it really didn't seem that much different.
Okay.
Than
I thought it could go either way. It's a chemical.
You know,
like,
I mean, and even the last time I did it, this is a famous story in Rappahannock County. This half naked old man. At this private music festival called Bobstock, right?
Yes.
half naked at Bobstock.
Yeah. That was
Dicks out for Bob.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, Elizabeth and I met each other, and we had known of each other for years because she had played with my brothers, right? I had sung with my brothers in the Piedmont Symphony Orchestra, actually. But anyway, so that was my last acid thing, and I really didn't do much acid after I left San Francisco. So I recall, I did a little psychedelics with Penelope. I think the woman that I followed from Virginia Beach to DC.
So we're at about 1990.
Let's see, late '80s when I was in DC, and then after the APT thing didn't. They decided to close, not to open a DC office, so I started working with the Washington Peace Center. I didn't work. I was doing carpentry work actually to support myself, as I've always done since California. Lynn's dad needed a helper one time, and he was a contractor, and so that's how I kind of supported myself through all this. But I've always been kind of an independent, carpenter, so I could work pretty much as I wanted, as much as I needed to support my activism and my music and stuff. Because I didn't really start making music until recent years, until probably 20 years ago, actually. I started making money at music, because before that I was doing all original things, and then here we go, the late '80s in Tacoma Park. I started a group called Michael and the Archangels, and you were asking last time about have I done anything musical of note, and we used to be on cable TV, and we were on radio in DC a couple of times, for local bands, kind of thing. So, but we were around we played the Tacoma Park Festival. We played we played outside the White House a lot, because we did a lot of political. I was writing political songs, right? We played a lot of rallies and fundraisers and things like that, but never made any money, But we were all rebels, we were all for the cause, So. Is there a chance to take a break at any point?
Do you need to go to the bathroom or something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can just go. Yeah. We'll talk amongst ourselves.
Okay, talk amongst yourselves.
Give us a subject.
Oh, I got some on here.
All right, here, we'll talk. We talk about Diddy, actually.
Yeah, we got some Diddy. But I wanted to lead off with, there was a story about from Front Royal, so an unfortunate and sad story. Some dickhead killed his 1-year-old son.
Yeah, that shit's wild as hell. I saw that shit.
Yeah. Like, I don't really want to get into this dude's name or any of that shit.
You don't have to. It's all on the internet.
Yeah. That's where I saw it. And I was just thinking about it, and I'm typically anti the death penalty because I think it sends the wrong message unless it's like an abhorrent crime. Like I'd say that people murdering other people, but sometimes, it's two assholes get together and somebody ends up dead. So I don't want to give a blanket statement for murder to say the government should murder people. I mean, if it's on camera and it's some wild shit, there's other circumstances. But if you fuck with kids or senior citizens or there should be I don't have really a qualm about it. So hopefully this guy dies soon.
So I think I agree with you to a certain extent. I think our current methods of the death penalty are extremely too humane. I think that we need to explore more like a Running Man style.
I thought
Running Man style.
That's a good thought.
But I wouldn't want to televise because I don't want to perpetuate.
You don't want to have some Hunger Games shit.
I think we should break off the tip of either Southern California or Florida. Push down the ocean a little bit. Just set it up like a fucking penal. Like you drop people off there. We drop off a little bit of food in the middle of it.
And see what happens.
Yeah, but it's only enough food for like less than like 20 people on the island, so that it becomes like a thing, and just that's your fate.
Population's gonna shrink.
Now the dark side, the bad side of that is we have to have those types of convictions have to be like 100%. It can't be like one of the, like that's one of those ones where it's like you don't want the Project's Innocence fucking getting involved.
That's more and more gonna be a possibility because everything's on camera now, so it's gonna be harder not to like catch a person.
Well, I don't know, man. We're a year away from what the time traveler from 3036 says is the big solar flare that's going to cause the great blackout. If you don't know about that, you guys can Google that shit. That's wild as hell. But just to get on some weird shit. But yeah, dude, I think it's very sad, but at the same time, I think also it would be fun if you drop people off. It would be sort of like the Roman Colosseum aspect of just dropping them off on an island with like a bunch of Komodo dragons and tigers and like silverback gorillas and polar bears. And then that's it. And they're stuck there with a loincloth, and that's it. That's it, a loincloth.
I definitely, if there was a job where you got to go in and just fuck up child molesters, I'd take that job.
Dude, that's a new thing right now on the internet. Is those people that like,
they
don't even give a fuck. They go illegal as hell.
Yeah, to catch a predator with uppercuts.
They beat the brakes off. I like the British version. They are so goddamn kind to these predators. Like, no, we're not here to arrest you. We're not here to tell you you're doing something bad. We're just letting you know what you're doing. And then the guys like, and they're like, we have this transcript right here, and it says, very nicely that you would like you to remove your britches, get on your knees, and tug on your tallywhacker. And they're like, this is just not the thing you should be saying to a child. Do you agree? And they're like, no. And they're like, okay, well, we're gonna wait for the bobbies to get here, and when they get here, you're gonna have to go into the jail. Okay, is that gonna be okay with you,
dude? All I know, dude. It would take everything in my being to be civil with like a person that I knew was trying to like meet a child. Be really hard not to just walk up and like kick them as hard as possible.
I mean, dude, don't worry, man. Like I'll tell you, the one time that I was in jail, that they had us, it was one time I was in jail. One time I was in jail, and some dude, there was a guy there, and he was not very forthright with what I met a couple of like people that were in weird situations, man. And like this one dude, he didn't tell anybody what he did, and then like his newspaper article dropped, and it turned out he had done something really, really bad to an elderly woman, and that actually, it was like, dude, that's the one time I remember like it really being pronounced, like everybody like straight up just turned their back and just you couldn't like talk to him. Yeah, and he got the worst. That's the worst thing that can happen to you in an incarcerated situation. Even trade. No, dude, the only people you can talk to are the other chomos, and when that filters out, dude, those groups of people are always wild because it's like two dudes you'd be like, oh yeah, definitely, and then there's always like a couple guys and they're like, really? And they're like, dude, I guess anybody could be touching,
P-Pace.
But yeah, so back to the Mike story.
Yeah.
Mike Hasty story. Back on a lighter note. Where are we? What year are we? Where are we?
Close to the mid-90s.
Late 80s still because. Let's see. I was still hanging around in DC. Well, okay. So, I forgot to mention that. Well, Nancy and I got married, right?
What?
Yeah.
What, dude?
Yeah. So she helped me organize the demonstration in DC.
So you have been married,
huh?
So you have been married, or you currently?
No. That I'd never been married before.
No. That's what I'm saying. So you have been married in general. So you married Nancy.
I married Nancy.
Are you still married to Nancy?
Well, we married unofficially, actually.
Okay.
But actually, as it turns out, we got married in D.C. So actually, it was my ex-girlfriend's father was an actor, and he was like in the New Age community, and so we had him do. We wrote the service, and we did it in the park across the street from her townhouse in. We're F Street in Southeast. Yeah, right. We were on Capitol Hill, right? She had this hot pink townhouse right in the middle of the block, right, First and F, and it was across the street from a park, and so we got married in the park, and we had everybody. But we never got a license or anything. But as it turns out, you didn't have to in DC because it was common law. They have common law, and actually, all you have to do is state your intent to get married, but she didn't want to marry me because I'm problematic financially. So we didn't want to get officially married, and besides, she was kind of a rebel like me. Even though she was like a nurse, right? So she was a lot, straighter. I mean, obviously, she had some inheritance. Her grandfather had a factory in New Jersey. This Italian immigrant who created this process for putting labels on clothes, right? So he
the shit you can get rich from.
Huh?
The shit you can get rich from.
Yeah. So he got rich, he passed it down. So Nancy had some money, so she bought this nice house, and because she was just a nurse, right? Like and had been married to a cop, and had a problematic thing with that. Had a couple of kids, who actually lived with their father up in Connecticut, but we used to go up and pick them up and take them to Nancy's parents' house in New Jersey for the weekends. For weekends, we'd go up there, the two girls, so who have, continued to be, at least one of them has continued to be important in my life, but that's way down the road. But anyway, in DC now, it was kind of cool because I used to run into a lot of people in DC. Daryl Hannah, came to a demonstration, because Jackson Brown was playing, and so we were involved in organizing, right? So we were hanging out with these people, and plus I was involved in organizing with people, including the Community for Creative Nonviolence. With Mitch Snyder, who I used to run into all the time. Do you know Mitch Snyder, the guy of the Community for Creative Nonviolence?
Nah.
It was the homeless people. He took care of the homeless people. See, you guys are so young, you don't remember any of this shit.
You're teaching us right now. So.
But anyway, they made a made-for-TV movie about Mitch Snyder. I don't remember the name of it, but Martin Sheen played Mitch Snyder in this made-for-TV movie. Well, one night, because I used to walk around D.C. all the time at the time because I was living in D.C., right? And so one night I was walking across the Capitol grounds, and Mitch Snyder was there, and he had pitched a tent. This was like about midnight, right? And this was like pre 9/11, right? So it was like he could, but he was doing one of his little demonstrations, for the homeless, and he had pitched a tent there, and then. Up walks Martin Sheen, right? who had come up to see.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
To talk to Mitch Snyder, and it was the weirdest fucking thing, to be talking to both Martin Sheen, Oh, and then I said, oh, hey, we met, at that demonstration in Nevada, with the Martin Sheen, right? Like because he had been, so he remembered that, so here. Here I have this midnight conversation, with Martin Sheen and Mitch Snyder, on the Capitol,
Dude, that is
on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol. It was,
Martin Sheen.
Huh?
Martin Sheen, was he cool?
Yeah, it was fun. He was a nice guy, but short,
Yeah, everybody's short compared to you. You're a goddamn orc.
No, Mitch wasn't. He was a 6 footer.
Yeah, no, dude. So Martin Sheen.
Well, yeah, we also used to run into each other all the time because he would wear a field jacket. I was wearing my field jacket, and he'd wear his field jacket. So like we looked like a couple of homeless guys.
Now, just to fast forward a little bit, are there any more Martin Sheen encounters in your life after this?
No, that's the only Martin Sheen.
Well, our guest last week, Karen Monroe from Main Street Geek, she had a great Martin Sheen story.
Oh, is that right? Oh.
Yeah, as well too.
Wow.
Martin Sheen, if you're listening, or if this is the mention of Martin Sheen is gonna make it pick up on his algorithm. Martin Sheen, we would love for you to be a guest on Helltown Radio. We can have a reunion between you, Mike Hasty, and Karen Monroe.
Oh yeah,
it would be fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm
Martin
sure he
Sheen,
has no idea who I am.
Dude,
this was like years
ago.
What?
Yeah, I bet you say that, but dude, you're a colorful ass character, bro. Like people gonna remember you, dude. Like that Jefferson Starship. They're probably talking about you right now. They're like, dude, remember that time we did that show, and there was that one hippie dude, Mike Hasty, was there, dude. Oh man, like
yeah, they might remember that I was starving.
They're like, yeah, remember the guy we had to give all the bagels to?
All the bagels.
Yeah, dude. Like that, and then we had to he got to play Revolution, man. That was fucking, and that's what I feel really held our band together going after. We owe that guy a debt of gratitude.
We wouldn't have came out with our third album without Mike Hasty.
Yeah, dude. That's exactly what I'm saying. When this story plays out like Forrest Gump, it's like Forrest Gump was always there at these integral parts of history, and he was like the glue that patched over, or he was the link to patch over the whole thing. So I feel like your story just reads so much like this, so amazing. So let's keep going though, because
it's fun. Well, because I've tried to be involved in things, So.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah. Who else did I run to? Oh yeah. On the Capitol steps. Well, of course, you read about my arrest.
Yeah, dude, that's fantastic. You guys, did you read that story?
No,
not the story. Did you read the physical document? It is, man. I read that one like a fucking comic book. I was like, oh, and then at the end, I was like, all right, what's gonna happen? I was like, because I know that, like, a lot of times in this situation, they just be like, man, fuck them hippies, guilty. But no, Mike has defeated the United States of America in their own home court. Yes, their own home court, home field. They had home field advantage. Mike came in like a young Tom Brady and just walked up and down.
The case was Hasty versus United States.
Oh yes, dude, it's wild, man.
Straight gangster.
So, man, Mike's got two.
I won at the Court of Appeals, right? The D.C. Court of Appeals, right?
Yeah, dude.
En banc, right? Like the highest thing below the Supreme Court.
Yeah, dude, it's actually a great read. I was like, because I was reading it. I don't read legalese very often, but I have, and I'm familiar with it. So I'm like reading. I'm like, yeah. Oh, yeah, and then we get to this, like, the conclusion, and I'm like, yes, what is the conclusion? And it was like, acquitted, and I was like, I was like, good word.
And now all these Christians can pray in the Capitol.
Exactly, which I was going to
because of that decision, right?
Which is wild, man. See, again, so if you don't know, like, I could give a brief synopsis of it. Mike held a protest in the Capitol. He actually is like, he made
with others.
With others. It wasn't just him, but there was other people. So he was, he was out there. It was a peaceful protest that you guys linked hands around the I forget
in the rotunda.
Yeah, the rotunda.
Right in the rotunda. We were praying. We were kneeling and praying in the rotunda.
And they got arrested and they were taken out. And then there was a whole thing, and so Mike,
I took it to court.
And you
everybody else, most people just
paid the fine.
But I went all the way with it.
Mike was like, "Yo, man," he's like, obviously you never heard about the long hair revolution of 1978, but or was it 75? Sorry, 1975. But
72.
72. Yeah. 65, 75 was the Vietnam War, so I should have been more cognizant of that. But yeah, so it was a. So you read, and so anyway, so Mike,
that was when I was working with American Peace Test, because I had never been arrested, right?
Right.
And so I wanted to. Well, no, I didn't get arrested in the Air Force.
And you represented yourself, right? And you represent.
No. I had a wonderful lawyer named Nina Kraut.
Okay.
Who handled it all.
Shout out Nina Kraut.
I didn't do anything. She was a D.C. lawyer.
Well,
the D.C. Lawyers Guild or the National Lawyers Guild. She's worked with them.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten all about it. It was and I didn't even know I'd been acquitted until a friend of my wife's who was a lawyer saw it in a legal journal. Saw the story in a legal journal and told her about it, that I had been that I'd won on appeal on this case.
I have a badge made. I beat the U.S.
Oh, dude! I mean, let's hope that Mike.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that. I'm really proud of that. Really,
dude. No, that was actually it's a really and it's funny because you sent it to me and I hadn't had time to read it. You're like, and so you saw me a couple times. Like, hey, did you read it yet? Did you read it? I was like, oh, no, dude, Mike, I'll read it. Don't worry. And I'm expecting it to be kind of bullshit or whatever. And like, cause I had no idea. Like, also, like, I thought we were gonna be talking about like this dude just like playing music and doing yoga. I didn't realize we were gonna end up on this tip. So and so, but in the very good
conspiracy theory too.
All these stuffs, man. But it was like, but anyway, so it's a great. So, anyways, you guys won on the premise of it was protected. It was protected speech. I think,
the prayer somehow was. I don't even remember how specifically it was worded,
right.
But it was because it was prayer and because because it wasn't any more disruptive than an ordinary tourist.
Right.
Is why it was.
It's a very interesting read on. It's a very interesting read if you want to look into that. I did, and that's fantastic. So Yeah, man. You know, there you go, man. It's, you know, instead of getting the Purple Heart, he got the middle finger up. You know.
Yeah. So that's why I did, and I went to jail. I went to DC jail, right? So that's where all those January 6th guys went. So I actually have the experience. That was my first experience in jail,
and this was in 1990.
It was 80s, right?
89. Dude, Jesus, man.
Yeah.
That must have been exciting.
So how were the 90s?
The 90s
for you?
That's when I moved to West Virginia. It was in the 90s.
That's a wild
yeah.
switch.
Well, first the 90s started off. At that point, I was with the Washington Peace Center and working, volunteer with the Washington Peace Center. But I was with the newsletter committee and the peacekeeper committee. And so I was involved in just about every demonstration that came into D.C. And but George, the one that I got the most coverage on was the George Bush senior inauguration. We did the counter inaugural, and we had a dinner for the homeless outside at the Union Station where they were having the official inaugural dinner, and so we had all the media, and I was the spokesperson for the because nobody wanted to do it, right? But I had written all these press releases and everything, and so my dad, right, got to see me on all the networks, talking about with his wearing his hat with this no Bush button on the front of it, talking to the media about the sins of George Bush.
Of which there are many.
Yeah. Well, he through my life has turned out to be my bête noire. Well, of course now he's dead. So
Yeah.
but he became less important to me in later years.
Yeah.
But at that point, it was I had been on national TV a couple times, but not really been identified or anything. But my dad was proud of me, even though he was retired CIA. Well, he was still working at the CIA at that time.
Well, I wonder if he liked Bush. Wasn't it like he the director of the CIA?
He was the director of the CIA.
Yeah, so that's your boss. You can hate him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My dad. He was involved in everything, man. He was like the Bay of Pigs.
Oh.
Yeah. He was a logistics officer for the Bay of Pigs. A logistics officer for the Bay of Pigs.
Tight.
Yeah. He was the U2. Oh, he was buds with Francis Gary Powers, who got shot down over Russia, right?
Wow.
Because he was very involved in the U2 program, and I'm personally convinced that he was involved with the JFK assassination.
Oh,
and probably the RFK
Yikes, bro.
too. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yo, you better not come out with no videos. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, dude, you don't end up. Next thing you know, they're gonna raid it.
I've written about this.
You're going to have to give him a comedian or some shit and make sure
I've
it
written
gets on
about
Geraldo.
I haven't written about my dad being involved with that, because that was I didn't realize that until long after he was dead.
Yeah. I think that's one of those conspiracy theories where everybody accepts it at this point that it probably wasn't just like.
Oh yeah. No,
I think it's
there's no question.
I think it's a large majority of Americans that are like,
yeah.
It wasn't that one guy.
Right.
At the
even
very
9/11, I think it's a third still. Think that it was an inside job.
Oh yeah. There's definitely like that one. I mean, anything that's happened since the internet's been out, there's whether it's valid or not, there's always conspiracy theories. I mean, this stuff is as ridiculous as flat Earth.
Right.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. That shit is just because they have some younger famous primarily basketball players that are like, yeah, that's true. Like Kawhi Leonard, I think talked about it, and a bunch of youngsters were like, yeah, how do you know it's not flat? I'm like, oh Jesus Christ.
Globe around all the time.
Yeah, I mean that shit. That's one of those conspiracy theories that I think is also tied to religion for a lot of people. Because I think there's a sect of Christianity where they think the world is only 5,000 years old or something.
The Earth is the center of the solar system.
Yeah, that type of
obviously the sun goes around us.
Well, yeah, the thing that always gets me is so they'll discount a lot of NASA photos and stuff like that, and they'll be like, well, why is everything else circular except for us? We're the only planet that's flat. Yeah, like some people will be like, all the other planets are fake, and so are birds. It's like, all right, come on, birds are fake. Now I've killed one with my car.
Who thinks they spend millions of dollars a day of photoshopping everything.
Yeah. Even if they have footholds, such as they'll talk about how the images that are produced sometimes by NASA are like computer generated images of what they think certain stuff would look
right,
like.
right. Yeah.
But they're we have like satellites that send back pictures, like Hubble telescope and all these other things. So I think you have to discount a lot of science and use weird science to be able to be like the Earth is flat. They'll
weird
still use
science.
They'll be like, well, it's flat because of the ice wall. Like it was like, all right, so how did the ice wall get there? And then you have to suspend your belief in science after you've tried to use science to prove something. So it's always like, what the fuck? You're doing a lot of mental gymnastics to try to be like, this thing I sort of believe in is 100% true.
Yeah. How does that happen? Well, maybe it's round. It's round and flat, right?
I do think conspiracy.
They're all round.
Yeah, it's like, have you ever like spun a basketball? It stays like it doesn't.
Well, it's like they've never seen a lunar eclipse, right?
Yeah,
yeah. Like because have you ever seen a lunar?
Yeah,
eclipse? Yeah. I mean, like there's a ball out there hanging out in the sky. I mean, it's like that's no doubt.
Yeah. You can come up with stories to support any viewpoint at this point as long as you have the internet connection.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Artificial
for another
it's
year.
all artificial intelligence, right?
Oh yeah, solar flare.
The solar flare, great solar flare of 2025, as predicted by the time traveler.
When's that one supposed to happen? What day?
I don't. If you Google, so time traveler 3036 solar flare 2025 would be my search on that. So I watched this really weird document. So there was this TikTok guy. He was known as the time traveler from 3036.
Okay.
And he would put up these TikToks, and allegedly they predicted certain like major events in the world. And this guy said he was working at a time travel agency in the year 3036, and he fell into the machine, and he's here now. And so yeah, it's a really weird story. He has a documentary, and I could go into the detail about it, but basically he talks about like certain events that are going to happen in milestones. So right now we're living in the idiot age. And the idiot, with the idiot age,
idiocracy.
It's like 1970 to 2025 are known as the idiot ages. And then there's a massive solar flare that knocks out all cellular and internet capabilities and communication capabilities for 5 years. And we go into the great dark era.
Wow.
And in the dark era is when like it becomes totalitarian. People are living in like shipping containers. Like it's a weird ass dystopian future thing. And then he goes on to talk about like then afterwards there's great wars and all this stuff and it's crazy shit. But anyways, so
it sounds like science fiction.
Well, it is, but if you watch you can't. It's like one of those things. If you deep dive on it, like you can't figure out really if it's fake or really because you can narrate. If you have a keyboard, and you have the internet, you can contour a narrative, right? So there's people that say it's real. There's people that say it's fake. I just I kind of like stay on the middle of the road. I'm like it's sort of like a
Well, let's see if we make it to 2025.
No shit, right, dude? Like, hey, listen. At this point in time,
we are celebrating. They don't want it to be a regional war, but we are allies of in a regional war.
Exactly.
I mean, holy fuck.
There's so much. There's so much going on right now. Like while everybody
and it's too closely connected too because Iran. Right, is China's biggest energy supplier.
Oh, I know, dude. This is very, very interesting.
Holy fuck,
bro! It's a whole ass thing, man.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm guilty of it. Is that meanwhile I'm worried about Diddy's lube collection and some girl spitting on dicks. You know what I mean? But that's a distraction tactic, right?
Oh, of course. Well, that's important. That's how they do it. Yeah, right. I mean, that's how they keep us in this space. I mean, like that. I mean, we are. We're here in the deep state, where we are the warmongers, right?
Yeah.
We are the warmongering deep state all over the world. Right?
Well, I think they are. I would say not we, because Mike, I'd like to think that us righteous brothers sitting here at this table that we're here and we do what we do and how we do what we do because we don't follow that bullshit.
Well, I take responsibility for my nation. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because
that's awfully good of you. That's awfully good of you, bro.
Well, I mean, somebody has to, right? I mean, somebody has to. Well, I it's just
that's like
just
having
in the sense that
that's like having a dad that was an abusive dad, right? Mm-hmm. And because he beat the shit out of your kids or your brothers. Your brothers and sisters, you're taking responsibility for that. I know. I have a hard time. Not like I would say.
Well, no. I like just that I feel responsible in the sense that I want to change it. I want to affect it.
That's cool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel you that. All right. I
mean,
can dig that. I would say don't feel like any like.
Yeah, no, because we're the belly of the beast, right? I mean, that's us. We're the biggest arms producers and sellers on the planet. And there would be no Ukraine war without our weapons. There would
Evil
be no
empire.
Gaza flattening without our 2,000-pound bombs. It was our 2,000-pound bomb that murdered Nasrallah in the middle of Beirut. I mean, what the fuck? It's us. It's not Israel. It's us.
We just do it with drones now.
Yeah, man. See, I guess that, I think that's, I mean, John and Mike, man, I feel you on that, though.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
100%.
I mean,
that's why I don't.
Somebody has to, I should be, shouting this. I should be saying more about it than I am.
I think, Mike, to be honest, bro, I think you've done. After the past, hour or so, we've touched on the fact you have actually represented that pretty well. So I wouldn't discount.
But you don't stop, right? I mean, like that. That's what gives me energy. That's why I keep going. Because I mean, I've always been about the revolution, right?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, and I'm still about the revolution.
Fuck yeah.
Because this is not acceptable. Where we're at, I mean, and even how do you organize against something that is, the global scale, right? Corporate scale.
I guess
you look at biggest gang in the world.
Yeah, right. How do you organize? All you can do is is hope and pray, and you form your communities where you can, and you make your connections where you can, and then when the time is right, then things happen, right? I mean, look at the library thing. Look at the library thing that happened.
Oh, yeah.
People came together, right? People came together,
and that's the advantage we have now. Whether people are really doing anything, because there's a lot of internet activism where they're just reposting links,
right?
But you've done the hard on the ground activism where you're actually setting up these groups pre-internet. So I think you have a lot more experience with doing the hard work, and then the hard work ending up paying off because things happen. Now, I think it's easier if you have the desire, like you have, to organize these things and get them bigger. So I think it's definitely tipped towards activism in terms of the ability to spread knowledge out, whether it's through the internet or in person or at events. It's harder for them to control us now, and I think that definitely scares the government a lot of times.
Well, that's why they want to know so much about us. That's why they do know such.
That's why we got data centers, man.
Right?
Yeah, data centers just collecting that camera data. They're tracking the shit out of us.
Yeah, man, that's just the herpes of America.
I've watched stuff that they do to I understand there are certain areas that are riddled with crime due to rampant drug selling and weapon selling.
And is video surveillance stopping it?
No,
not a fucking drop.
Stopping some of it, but it's just they're going to replace it.
They're just moving. It's not doing that.
So a lot of times I've seen specifically on trap houses where they show foot traffic, and it almost looks like a football game where each person walking has a different trail behind them. So where they tell where the foot traffic is going, what door they're going to, and which one they're leaving to. So even if you go in the front door and out the back door, if you're buying some crack, they're gonna know where you went because there's so many cameras, and it's nuts because instead of doing stakeouts, that's what they do.
Yeah, well,
or they fly a drone around your house,
or they use people's Ring cameras. Why do you think that Ring camera shit is so is such a popping business? Is because it is definitely put it in your house.
All right.
It can't be it can't be hacked.
Yeah.
We can't use that for our own shit. Bullshit. It can't be used. Bullshit. I'm gonna say this on some real shit. 1984 was a great book. It was a fantastic book, and it specifically outlines the messages of why we're heavily surveilled versus the realities of why we're heavily surveilled. Right. And we have just we just discount that like it's bullshit. And so, here's my thing: if I was to become the dictator of the world, right? Because it would take dictatorship for me to get my agenda across, which is a great agenda, Mike. You would love it. It's all about peace, love, and fucking chicken grease.
Yeah.
And it's this, man. There's my two first orders of business. as a dictator of the world would be I would take everybody's cell phones away for a year. For a year. I'm not saying forever. For a year. It's going to be, they're going to be grounded. The world is going to be grounded from cell phones, myself included. And we're going to be grounded, and we're going to have to go back to communicating with each other like human beings. Like human beings. Okay?
Yeah, everything to get back to human scale. I think that's the secret to our development as a species is to get back to human scale. And the thing is with corporations, you know, a corporation is like a golem, you know, about in right.
The second order of business that goes hand in hand with the cell phone thing, because I feel like it's also a tracking mechanism, is that I would heavily regulate surveillance camera use. You could not you can't just have a surveillance camera. You have to go through a whole ass thing. Do that. My third order of business, I would make dog breeding extremely difficult and or illegal to do. I would be the Carol Baskin of fucking dogs, because you know what? We got too many goddamn dogs in these shelters, too many dogs going to these hoarders, too many puppy mills, too much shit. And I'm sorry, unless there's some breeds that need to be bred for service and for certain professions. And people should be licensed and extremely regulated in how they do that. But Joe Schmo that wants to breed a big old pit bull and then fucking is out there it's such a dark underbelly of a thing. I'm sorry to get on this thing, but I'm high as giraffe pussy and on my pedestal. Is that I think that those would be my three orders of business. Be like, I get rid of cell phones for a year until everybody gets civil again. I would take care of. I'd be like surveillance cameras only in like very certain situations, and then number 3 would be dog breeding. Until all the dogs are out of shelters, we're not allowed to breed. Until shelters are empty, no dog breeding's popping for personal use. We just took on we took on this dog. We talked about it last week, and I'm just like, it's unbelievable to me that human beings could let this happen to another living creature, and that's my hippie ass shit. And we would go down the list, man. It's all about retracting military force from foreign lands, like reinvesting into the reindustrialization of America.
We need a second good deal or a new deal, because
the first deal was fucking. The first deal was it was the deal, but
I think if they start job programs, and they're beneficial to all of us, whether it's fixing bridges or like building like cheaper housing and teaching people at the same time, that's a good use of government dollars. It's not wasted money. Like, you're not just throwing money at a problem. You're giving people resources to create another middle class.
Can I get really political and say,
do it.
I voted.
You voted today,
and for Kamala because of that very thing. She's talking about apprenticeships programs and getting back to doing technical training, and things like that. Getting away from even not requiring college degrees to do federal work, to get into the federal workforce. Bring it back to a human scale, right?
We need a middle class
back down to the human scale.
The two big parts of the middle class were people that had trade jobs and unions attached to those, and then auto manufacturing and just manufacturing in general in America. Those things went out like in the early 90s through a lot of trade agreements, and that is ripped out. That's why a lot of people in the Rust Belt are voting for people like Trump, because they're so used to the people they view as being
they got screwed.
They got screwed, and they definitely need to bring that stuff back. I don't think you should be able to own a corporation in the United States and take advantage of our tax code through deductions, and be able to employ the majority of your labor force making your products in other places. You're propping up other countries. Whether it's good or not for your business, is bad for America, and it rips out the middle class. The middle class makes our dollar worth more, which makes rich people richer. I don't understand. You're stacking up dollars that are worth less if you just paid people more.
But there's more of them. But there's more of them.
There would be you'd have 300 million instead of 100 million, because people would buy stuff made here. You'd make more money. But
it's a whole lot of thing. Wait, before we
went super political.
Yeah, we got super political. So back to the 90s thing. We're in what, 90? What year?
90s. Okay. Are
you still with Nancy at this point in time?
Oh yeah. I'm with Nancy up until 2016 actually.
No shit. Well, we got some time on that one. So you and Nancy.
So Nancy and I, we got married in '88. We got married in the park across the street, and then I continued. And so then I moved into D.C. I officially moved into D.C., where Marion Barry appointed me to the DC Nuclear Freeze Committee, and where I became the secretary of that too, and so working that and met Russians that came to visit, some capitals of Moscow. We had, so that was very interesting. Let's see, and at the same time was still doing demonstration organizing and everything. Let's see, I was writing for the Washington Peace Letter. I started getting involved in the drug policy reform movement because I wrote a series of articles, front page articles for the Washington Peace Letter, which was distributed free around DC. You've probably seen the Washington Peace Letter. I used to write, a lot. I wrote a lot of front page articles for the Washington Peace Letter, but I did a series on the drug war that the National Pledge of Resistance turned into a brochure that they distributed nationally. So let me ask you this: have you ever heard the expression "the war on drugs is a war on people"?
Yeah.
That's mine. That came from
ding! Ding it, baby.
That came from that. Came from that
listen,
that brochure that the National Pledge of Resistance. That was the first line in the series. That was the first line in the series that I wrote for the Peace Letter.
And I would like to say, as a one of my self-professed marginalized groups I put myself in is a prisoner of that stupid fucking war. I've done a little bit of time for cannabis, and I'm gonna tell you, dude, that is like, the war. And when you get, like, if you think, knowing the policies and stuff like that, being there on the ground and being incarcerated and hearing about people being incarcerated for nonviolent crimes such as cannabis, production and distribution, whatever, man. Like, it has to get distributed some way, and don't make it like it's some like drug dealing. It's just the whole. Anyways, the war on drugs is bullshit. So thanks a lot.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, so you coined that phrase. Did you?
That was the first line of. You
should have put a credit on that, man.
Of the
brochure. Do you have it?
Well, it was the first line of the series of articles. Actually, that was the very first. That was the opening line of the 3-part series that I wrote for the Peace Letter.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
man.
I'm proud of that too. That's
It's crazy. I think that you and I are very interestingly similar and different at the same time, and it's like I do feel it's the loss of contact with humanity. It's the loss of the consideration of humanity. We've gotten so involved with numbers and things and imagery and idolatry and all the craziest, all these things that are just completely empty. They're completely empty endeavors, right? Like, all the things I just mentioned are what we consider to be pretty much American values at this point in time. But they're not. Nothing tangible is coming out of that, and it's getting back to the human trait, and that's why I love the human condition. That's why I love living out here in Front Royal and living out. People are like, oh, but you moved away from the city. I'm like, yo, the connectivity that I have with the people out here is way more organic. It's way more genuine, and it's because we're not concerned with I feel this area, for whatever reason, we're incubated in this little bubble where people actually give a shit about each other. I mean, you look at at Catamount Lounge at 124 East Main Street in Front Royal, for instance, is a great example of that kind of melting pot thing. Right.
The community, right?
Yeah, because it's totally. It's not like it's
that's what I'm talking about. The revolution. When I talk about I'm still organizing revolution, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Because who knows what to do politically?
Sure.
Because the politics is so tightly controlled. And the media is so tightly controlled.
I think most people,
not Helltown though, baby. We wild as fuck.
If you have a barbecue, that's America. And you invite your neighbors. You got people that are construction workers. You got people that are mathematicians. That's real America. Real America is us at a barbecue, not really giving a shit about a lot of the stuff except for helping each other.
Yeah, but it's turned. But we've turned, and by way of media and by way of media manipulation, there was this whole thing. And I think you recognize this being coming up in the way you came up. That it was always portrayed he would show the guy, the mechanic working 7 days a week, so his kid didn't have to, because so he could go to college and become a better person. And it's does that make you a better person, and why? and because you could acquire
more capital,
capital, so you could buy more stuff and become and create yourself better than that person that you were raised as, right?
Yeah.
And it is such a strange idealism, and it creates. So if you go and like again, and I'll use Fairfax County as the benchmark of this. It is such a stratified, status quo based society. Like, yo, I'm sorry, but the gentleman who's the mechanic is not going to be hanging out with the guy who's a lawyer, right? They're just not going to happen. It's not going to happen organically because there's no cross section in which their socioeconomic condition on either end is going to intersect, unless it's by way of service, right?
Yeah.
And in which you have a fucking caste system, kind of put in place. And that's where that's why I really appreciate it out here. It's more of a horizontally stratified social stratification, or it's not stratification, it's horizontal, it's a linear here.
I felt the same way actually in West Virginia, living in West Virginia. So,
I think the farther you get away from and I hate to say this, like, I think cities are great places to visit. I think they're terrible places to live. And the reason being is that, unfortunately, it's turned into this thing. We in the pandemic, primarily responsible for this, is that not only do we champion the distance and the my world's my world, stay away, you stay away from me, don't look at me, don't make eye contact, don't talk to me, like, and we champion it with these stupid fucking memes about being negative, like. There's like that stupid ass, like there's a brand, the antisocial social club, like shut the fuck up. Like, it's like we've created like this whole culture of making being distant and being ignorant and mean to each other cool.
Right.
And it's like, yo, man, it's not.
The media helps with that.
Absolutely.
That's what all those sitcoms are about, right?
Sure.
Essentially.
It's crazy.
People like trying to take advantage of each other.
Yeah.
Look at Seinfeld, right? It was all about, like bunch of
one of the best
unpleasant people,
Yeah, that's why that's why I loved the end of it. Was the last episode they go to jail for being pieces of shit, and every single person comes on, and like I think that was the cool thing about Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, and maybe I'm not sure what it is, maybe it's their social conditioning or whatever, but they were just so good at being self-realization, but like they just clown the fuck out of themselves and did it so well. Like they made their characters, like, I mean, so unlikable,
right,
that you loved them,
right?
You ended up being like, what? That's. But they were at the same time. I will say this: had it been, I think Seinfeld in 2024 versus Seinfeld in the 90s when it was around, it would have been way like they would have been less, because in Seinfeld at least they were communicating with people
they'd have been texting each other.
Yeah, they went from everybody from George Steinbrenner to the bum across the street to the soup Nazi.
There was no in on each other. Right.
There wasn't a social stratification that you would have that you would see now in Seinfeld. Now it would be like it wouldn't even be as cool because it would just be those four idiots talking to each other the whole time on their cell phones in their own houses,
right,
fucking wearing masks and probably whatever, dude. Like, that's I think that we like Seinfeld that was an amazing. It was a great show that like it definitely articulated the human character flaws, but at the same time was like it also provided a sense of community, and I think that it demonstrated. I think especially for New York, like if you go to New York now, I'm sorry, people are like, there was like a time period I think I was like, unfortunately took 9/11.
I enjoyed living in New York actually. I had a good time living there. I mean, I because I was surprised that people were not
Well, I think New York
like,
City
now it's
down and ugly and everything. I mean, people were.
I think
they were just people.
New York is such a big city that like you'll have these little sections of the city that are like almost homogenous and like kind of chill, and then you'll have sections that probably are kind of like everybody looks at each other like an ant, and like they're like you're in my story, that type of bullshit. So I do think I've been in New York like 3 or 4 times, and I've stayed in different places each time. One time I stayed like a block off of Times Square, like right when Giuliani started cleaning it up. So Times Square was kind of nice, but those 2 blocks all still had like pimps and hookers and like peep shows.
Sure.
The second time I went, it was like Disney up there because they had like for 5 or 6 blocks around Times Square. It was super, super nice. It was always bright and lit up. Right. And I remember when I was a kid, Times Square was like, yo, don't go there. You get robbed. There's hookers everywhere. Yeah.
CDs.
It's like if you want to get stabbed or get drugs, you go there. So I think there's different sections. I've definitely driven all around, like going to different places there, and I don't mind because I don't ever think that anybody's gonna do something fucking bad to me, and like but you got to scan. You got to look around and just look at people's eyes. And like most of the time, if you look at a person's eyes, even if they are trying to like predate on you, you can like they'll stop. They're like, oh, he's watching me. So like I think for me that's a huge part of like being like, okay, I'm cool. Like I'm in this area that may be shitty, but as long as you're respectful, most people aren't gonna fuck with you. If you go into like the hood and start like acting like a big shit and not just like, you know, being chilled out, yeah, you're gonna make yourself a target. Maybe somebody will be like, hey, can I have your wallet?
Well,
like,
you know, you can. I mean, this is funny. Do we? I don't remember if we talked about this on air, but I graduated from Gonzaga in D.C.
Yeah.
I lived in Northern Virginia and went to school in D.C. And I used to walk around D.C. all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I never had any problems. You know, I mean, like I would walk everywhere. You know, and here's another thing. When we were American Peace Test, when we did the office in we put the office in Northeast because Jesse Cox was one of the founders of American Peace Test. She wanted to do the DC office, but she wanted to be right in the middle of of a bad neighborhood, you know, right?
Yeah.
And so of a black neighborhood, you know, a bad
Yeah.
neighborhood. But you know,
Well,
I mean, you know, so but anyway, so I would walk to. I was living in Southeast, you know, and I would walk up to Northeast, you know,
damn.
and you know. And so, like, there'd be like these guys around. They'd say, "Hey, Chuck! Hey, Chuck!" You know, so I'm walking by. Hey, man, how you doing? Like, I just, but you know, if you exude nonviolence, I guess, or you know,
Yeah,
or
like
or not, and you're not afraid.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and I guess it is an advantage being a big person, you know.
Yeah. Being a bigger person makes you less of a target.
Yeah, you're less of a target, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know how this has happened to me. How I've gone in all these neighborhoods, and because I used to walk all over the place when I was in school, when I was in high school, you know. And but it was funny because like I went to a reunion a couple of times, and one time these guys were talking about how the Maryland guys, they used to get beat up all the time going up North Capitol Street, right?
Jesus.
You know, like they were constantly getting jumped, you know, but somehow that never happened to me.
Maybe they were just being a nuisance.
Huh?
Maybe they were being a nuisance.
Yeah, I don't know.
You never
Anyway,
know.
It was a different time. Man.
Yeah.
it was a different time.
It was back when that was expected. Like you were told, everybody was told. They're like, listen,
Right.
you see the nerdy white kids, you beat them up. They're going to say nasty things about you when you leave.
We just had a request.
Oh boy.
Oh, wow.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And this is something Chris has wanted for a long time.
What, the Helltown girl.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe we should outro or we
can outro with it.
We can outro with it.
We actually are gonna have to have
I get it.
Mr.
Yeah, I
Hasty
know. Wow.
back in for the next 20 years because
Yeah, we're gonna have to bring you in
what?
again. We're gonna have to bring
because
you
we're
on
done?
again. Yeah, we're gonna have to bring you on again,
yeah,
man.
we're
We're getting
we're
close.
about 10 minutes over already.
Yeah, we're about.
Oh, is
yeah.
that right? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
this is a blast. Trust me. I can
Yeah,
go.
no.
I'm having a really good time, actually, you know.
Oh no, dude, we're gonna have even more fun. Now we're gonna go.
Well, we have been.
Let's
off
get
on,
up to
various subjects that are that have also been important. You know, I mean, we've been talking about World War III.
So let's get up to.
Oh yeah, like I almost posted today on Facebook. It's so weird watching Armageddon in real time. You know. Like,
Shit, dude. This is
Yeah,
wild.
dude. The world's a crazy place.
Yeah.
It goes in these
We're
ebbs
in
and
a
flows.
crazy space right now. Here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's get up to 90. Like where are we at? Like 90, 92.
Early '90s. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Let's get up
Before
to
I moved
95, and then
95, yeah, 95,
We'll get
and
up
then
to
we-
95.
It was that was when we moved to West Virginia.
Okay, so West Virginia.
Yeah, so you've heard most of the major stuff DC. I mean, there's all kinds of stories I could tell, but yeah, we can move on to West Virginia next time.
Hell yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in West Virginia too.
We'll start off with West Virginia next time, the West
Okay.
Virginia wildness, and then we'll get into your. I want to get into yoga and how. Like,
Oh, yeah,
and,
sure,
And
yeah,
we'll get
yeah.
into you starting to play music.
Well,
So
the
that-
yoga actually started in California. I don't remember. I think we talked a little bit
about
last
it, but
time.
like
that's where I started.
we'll get
was
into
in
you
was in
teaching.
San Francisco. Huh?
We'll get into you teaching yoga and stuff, and
yeah.
and musicianship, like when you started playing music. For
Well, I started
for
playing
money,
music when I was a kid, right? So
But-
I've been playing music all the time.
but when you got lucrative with it,
huh?
you said that was more of a recent, the last 20 years.
That I have actually been playing professionally. Before it was more I just played it. Well, because I wanted to play my original songs.
Yeah.
And, people, unless you have a big hit or something, which I didn't. Well, I didn't really.
I feel that too.
I didn't really pursue. I was too scattered. I was doing too many other things. So I wasn't. I didn't really focus on music until recent years. That I really it's been my major focus. But that's part of the revolution too.
Oh,
right?
We'll get into all the revolutionary music.
Right.
All right. Where
cool.
can people go to
Anyway,
find?
Hey, thanks, guys.
Oh no, thank you for coming.
Yeah, dude, this is amazing, dude.
So any shows coming up or anything happening?
Promote yourself, sir.
Let's see. Well, I am playing at Willie Sutton's in Winchester on Saturday, October 19th. I can say that.
Yeah.
I won't be back to Catamount till November 2nd at Catamount.
Well, I'm sure we'll see you there.
Yeah, and of course every Friday I'm doing the 420 happy hour at Chester Street Tavern.
Right.
And we're very excited. I'm playing drums now for Sally Mae Foster.
Oh shit!
For her, our new band is called Easy Target. With my friend Perry Conticcio, my fellow yoga teacher, friend, who's also a world-class saxophone player. He's played at the Fillmore. I mean, he's played, this guy's great. And JoJo is our bass player. So anyway, we had our debut at Chester Street Tavern on Friday night, and it was fun. We had a great time, had a great crowd. So
awesome.
So yeah, that's
420.
That's recent. Yeah. So I opened up with my usual 420 solo act, 420 happy hour, 420 to 620 every Friday afternoon at the Chester Street Tavern on Chester Street in Front Royal.
Yeah, shout out Jim Justice, baby.
You can come see me play.
Yeah, cool ass spot, dude. Really cool ass spot. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, check out Mike Hasty.
Hasty.
And all his endeavors music.
Big Papa PBR.
Yeah.
Man, we're going to have to start calling him the Godfather, man, because he's getting to part 3. We're going to have part 3.
Oh, yeah, part 3, right?
Yeah,
the Godfather.
Part 3. We're going to look at the calendar and see when we can get you in here the next. Yeah, dude, this is fucking, an amazing story, Mike. This is super fun, dude.
I'm having a good time, really. Well, it's, it's fun. Well, it's also revealing to me, to pick out stuff like, well, what's important, to talk about, what
yeah,
happened.
dude, with your list of experiences, fucking, you beat the government thrice. You beat them 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
Government champion.
You like Jordan, the 3-peat.
Well, let's keep it going, right?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Maybe we got a 4-peat.
He's going to have Tom Brady. He's going to have 6. He needs 6 rings, baby. 6 rings.
So next week, who's going to be in here?
Next week we have Derek Luhoviak and Amanda Luhoviak from the Whole Ox. So yeah, hopefully they've been watching and doing their homework. They were watching tonight because I'm gonna hint lightly that they should bring some of their wares.
Oh, you mean charcuterie?
Sausages, charcuterie, burgers, fried chicken. They do it all at the Whole Ox. Really, it's a great establishment. So yeah, we have Derek and Amanda on next week, which is going to be really fun because they both have spectacular backstories. Yeah, Amanda, she was recently on some television programs and on the Food Network, and so that's gonna be a really fun show. And then I guess the following week I gotta talk with, or we'll talk about that. I gotta figure that out. But
what do you got coming up?
What do I have coming up? Well, tomorrow night you can find me at the filling station at El Rey in Boston Commons in Arlington, Virginia, starting at 8 p.m. That's going to be a callback comedy promotion. Shout out to Adrian and John over there. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Monday nights for the foreseeable future, I'll be hosting, and I hope you're going to help me with the soundboard next week.
Yeah, I
need your help.
I'll be doing mixing.
Yeah, you do the mixing, I'll do the bullshitting. That's kind of how I think that's like kind of our thing now. And so, so we're gonna do that. We're doing that. October 19th, we will be. I'll be with Connor and Ace over from Black and White Comedy. We're gonna be doing a intimate night at the Catamount Lounge type thing. Sorry to steal the Punky Brewsters promotion, but they're doing intimate night with Punky Brewsters. But Fuck those guys. No, I'm just kidding. I love.
I'm gonna be intimate with each one of them, especially Professor Diddlefingers.
Man, Professor Diddlefingers, man. If you get intimate with him, dude, that prostate examination is gonna be on fleek, son. Let's see, what else do I got going on? Shamelessly promoting. Yes, also we're doing the farm to table dinner at the Giving Tree.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
Aubrey Silver and myself are going to be doing that. That's going to be the October 20th. Yeah, and I think there might be a couple tickets left. I don't know. We might be sold out.
That's fucking spectacular.
Yeah, it's gonna be. You know, I like to come out of retirement every once in a while and razzle dazzle. We're gonna do some really cool stuff. Let's think. What else, man? Here on Helltown Radio. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Yeah, we're trying to get our subscriber rate up. We're trying to make moves. We're now on Spotify as well as on YouTube. George, thank you for doing that. George,
all the back catalog will be added this week, so you'll be able to download stuff, subscribe, and it'll automatically download. Listen, share it with your friends.
Tell everybody about it. I tell everybody about it. It's amazing. Shout out to Lita. We look forward to having you back.
Yeah, we needed a list this week.
What else do we got? Who else? I don't know. George, man. Thank you very much, George, for making this happen. I don't think we talk about that enough, but this show would not be possible without the blood, sweat, and tears of my main man over here to the right of me. And I really mean that.
Not to mention his apartment.
Well, that's what I mean. It's this is like, you know what I'm saying? We're invited to George. We're invited every week into George's life, and it's really awesome. And I really thank you for that, bro, and just your general support and being a cool dude and having an amazing wang. But that's speculative. But I mean, I just assume.
No, it's spectacular.
All right, bet. But yeah, wang penis. So that's my. I think that's all. That's my cannabis-induced rant.
Go over to @Helltown. Like we were saying, it's on Spotify. There's 2 or 3 episodes up. This one will be up tomorrow. You'll be able to subscribe, download. There'll be polls, all kinds of stuff. If you guys, for every, there'll be stuff related to Lita's horror list, stuff that we talked about on the show. And we'll all kinds of votes, whatever.
Horror list.
They'll definitely.
I think you said whore list.
There'll be a whore list.
She was a whore. Not Lita, but
no. There's definitely going to be a something pertaining to it. I think the one for last week's show with Main Street Geek is who's your favorite comic book villain. There's 8 or 9 choices. Go vote in that. Maybe we'll do something. We'll pick one of the voters to get free stuff. Maybe free T-shirts or stickers once we get those. Yeah,
we're gonna start making moves once you guys get us all these subscribers and views and all that shit. So
yeah, dude, I want a T-shirt gun. So fucking start listening more.
Yes, and anybody that wants to pick us up as a sponsor, shout out to Smokersville for hooking me up with this beautiful grinder.
Yeah, Smokersville.
And they were out of those the 1,000 milligram gummies. Unfortunately, I was trying to get those for me and Mike, but how'd that one treat you? That one I gave you? Yeah, man, long lasting.
Last week every time we rang the bell, he had to eat an edible. This motherfucker ate all kinds of edibles.
I know the sad part was I was in charge of ringing the bell, and so it was very it was a self-inflicted wound.
Go over to Capital MMA, get trained. There's going to be a new location somewhere in Loudoun County. You can catch me at both of those because I'll be training
both of
them. And if you're young and you come on a mat and you see my old ass and you think you're gonna tap me out, nah, motherfucker, I'm spry for a fat motherfucker. I'll grab your leg.
Also, Martin Sheen.
Yeah, Martin Sheen, get at me.
Yeah, get at us, man. Martin Sheen. Anybody's got a connection to Martin Sheen, please tell him to holler at your boy. I'm a big fan of a lot of his work, especially Project Alf, but it's true.
Project Alf, get it in your life.
Project Alf, but not to use Project Pat.
We had a request. And we're gonna play it before the outro. So Chris asked for this before every show.
This is Miss Z. MIS.
And we played this before.
You need to subscribe. You need to hit subscribe on her thing.
I am not gonna subscribe on this computer.
Oh man. Oh yeah. I guess you. I guess you're right about that. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, let's keep that one nice and shiny.
Yeah, dude. I gotta have one computer that has it. Dude, that computer was from Dirtbag, and that computer is slow as shit. And I know exactly what it is. We looked up the most horrible things on that computer and put it on the screen.
Yeah, I think that,
But this is Helltown Girl. This was requested by Chris and multiple people.
Big girl, small town. This is Helltown Girl. This is a song about Front Royal.
It is, really.
Lord back. best way to get out. Big dreams, small minds. Pay attention to my words. Spellbind, stuck in the matrix. When I need day trips. Hella bread, good sex.
Ms. Z, if you're listening, if you shoot a video, we want to be on it.
Oh, dude, I'll twerk in that video.
Oh, yeah.
I wear overalls.
We'll be video hoes. We'll be your video hoes.
Switch. Now I'm eating his ass.
Are you hearing this? Oh, he's not hearing it.
Oh, check if you're plugged in still.
You might have unplugged, dude.
Huh?
You might have unplugged your headphones. Yep.
Yeah, that's why, dog. It's funny. We're sitting here vibing. Mike's looking at us like, what the fuck is going on with these idiots?
You can plug it right in there. Can't stop.
Can't stop me, baby. Ms. Z, holler at your boys.
So it finally happened.
It did. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a thing. I think we're gonna get Ms. Z on the show, and I think that's a move that we need to make.
Is that a new song?
Yeah, she sent it to us like probably once we started at like I don't know, like early summer.
Wow.
We got like a couple of music submissions. Yeah, and if you have any songs, if anybody around here has any songs or something they're coming out with new, we'll play it. Just tell us. It's not a big deal. Even if Chris likes it more than everybody else.
Hey, listen, man. You know who loves that song?
Who?
Lauren, man. Lauren bumps that shit when I'm not in the car. And it's funny as shit. She roll up the house, I can hear, boom, boom. And I'm like, yeah, I know who it is.
Yes. Remember, it's your week. Suplex that shit. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. Even start a revolution in your heart.
Yes.
Mike's a revolutionary.
Yeah, Mike Hasty, Part 3, coming at you soon.
The West Virginia
coming
Chronicles.
to a theater to you soon.
Bye. And remember, the pee hole's not for fingering. Unless you're adventurous.